step. Didn't mean to be in your lap there.
No, that's all right. Hey, man. Look, we'll be doing that this month, man. I'm sorry to get back with you. Had a lot going on.
What's that?
With the kids, we'll be doing it this month.
I got you. You been all right? That's not a good answer.
Hey, man, it ain't. This bullshit that went down in that new figure, let me tell you something, bro. My attorney coming in from New York. We sued the hell out of every damn body that took part in this shit.
It's scary.
It's gonna be scary, and whoever adopted that video, oh, they got serious problems. Bro.
Hey, what do you, did you get my file?
Yes, okay.
No. Or six. So far. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to get started. I'd like to remind everyone to please, if you have a mask, please put it on. If you do not, I'll have to ask you to leave the chambers. Remind everyone that we will conduct a professional meeting with the quorum, and I'll just leave it at that. All right, so we'll move on. Public Works, Mr. Clint Crater.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to call to order the Public Works Committee. Lyle is not present, but everyone else is. First off, we'll hear from Mr. Albert John, the Public Works Director.
Good afternoon. We have one piece of equipment that's out for service right now, which is a tractor. We should have it back by next Wednesday. Mosquito control, we are still continuing to spray. We're spraying 6 nights a week starting this week, half the city each night. That's all I have. Any questions?
I guess the $64 million question is, city sprays every night and we couldn't go outside. The parish plane comes over and sprays one time and the next day it's like a miracle. They're all coming. What are they doing that we're not?
They're using a chemical called dibrome, which is much, much stronger and can only be sprayed by air. We're spraying almost at max rate that we're allowed to spray. I mean, we're covering 150 feet each way from the back of that nozzle. You know, an airplane is covering everything. They're getting the top of the trees. You know, it's coming from 300 feet up in the air. I mean, it's just the way, that chemical works.
Yeah, well, I understand, but I don't know, it just seems like, and I think everybody else kind of agrees to it, that it was like a miracle. I mean, we couldn't go outside. I know at my house I couldn't go outside. And the next morning I walked out and it was like, wow, they were gone.
It always is. It always is that way. And you have to understand that when a plane flies, they're getting the outlying areas of the town, the fields where the mosquitoes are. I can go to your house. You can call me and say, I got a ton of mosquitoes. I can go make a pass at your house in an hour and you're not going to see any mosquitoes. But in 3 or 4 hours, they may be back. When you're blanketing a large area, you know, you've got rice fields, there's your floodwater mosquitoes you're dealing with. A mosquito is like any other insect, it's coming to light. Okay, so if you can kill what you have right here, but there's more coming. I I mean, it's not eradication, you only try to do what you can to control them. I mean, that's all you do.
I guess the question is just, is there anything else different that we can be doing to try and improve? Because it just seems like it wasn't working, I know that, or maybe it was working and they would have been even worse, which I can't hardly imagine.
No, they would have been a lot worse. When that plane sprayed on Thursday, there were mosquitoes. I saw mosquitoes where there shouldn't have been mosquitoes. I mean, that's how it happens. I mean, there's,
Mr. Martin?
yes,
Okay, I guess you talking about the 100 million, whatever dollar question is. How much does it cost for the city to spray? You say, how many times, does the city spray?
we're spraying right now 6 nights a week.
6 times a week, okay, give me an estimate of how much it costs to spray 6 times a week.
$85 an hour times 4 hours, average, $350 a night. If we go to when they get really bad, the population's really bad, and we're spraying, Delta Guard, that's $202 a gallon just for the chemical.
Okay, 200, okay. Now, the main question, how much does it, cost for a plane to pass over with the city paying?
I haven't priced it, the mayor has, the mayor can answer that.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to clarify, for the record, that the city, once we did find out the parish was going to be spraying, the city did engage with VICT, the company who sprayed for the parish, and we did engage with them, and we got the city sprayed, and that amount was close to $12,000.
So about $2 an acre.
That's correct.
So-
It was priced at $1.77 an acre.
So you're saying it took how much?
How much
You said, I asked the question, how much
did it cost?
does it cost for a plane to pass over?
Crowley.
Yes,
Just
just
Crowley. Just Crowley was almost $12,000.
$12,000.
Yes, sir.
And we're paying how much?
About $500 a night, $400, $500 a night, you said?
Yeah, between $300 and $500 a night.
But keep in mind, excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that if you'll notice that the spraying with the airplane did, in fact, and Mr. Albert could agree to that the airplane did in fact knock him down with this particular chemical. But after so many days and so many nights, it's gonna start getting, not as bad, but that's why he'll begin spraying again to keep it under control at this particular time.
Okay, how many times does the parish spray?
Once I believe.
Once
We did-
what?
Once we did
They
it,
sprayed with the plane.
Once a year.
Once a year?
They don't do it every year.
That's all right.
It's not.
that's correct. We did
Okay,
it with this
all right,
one.
well, hold on here. So now you saying that it's $12,000 to spray, they come once a year. But yet, if we do a weekly spray and whatever, I'm pretty sure that costs a dwarf the $12,000 that it would take to do this one time in the city of Crowley. Now, I for one can tell you, I don't know if they left your house and came to mine, but they traveled, okay? So, I mean, we gotta be a judiciary, type force here, and that, the math don't add up here. If it's gonna take $12,000 to take care of the mosquitoes one time, but yet you're spending, did you put an average on how much it costs a month to spray? Is it
I
only
have
$12,000?
those numbers in my computer, if you come by, I'll be
Okay, that's
glad
fine,
to
but
get
I'm just
them.
saying, what, does it come clear?
I'm sorry?
Does it come clear? In other words, it's clear, I wanna say, well, the money's that used, is in your budget, that's what I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
clear. Okay, it's clear,
Yes.
okay. So, just on the action, side here, if it takes $12,000 to knock down the mosquitoes for, and do it one time, and it lasts, how long does it last with the parish? So they only pay us one time?
That's gonna kill what's there then.
Right.
Period, if you get rain within a week or so, you're gonna have more mosquitoes, because they're breeding.
But
You're not killing them.
I do understand. But if you have, you paying the amount of money that you say each night, you spraying each night?
That's right now, but usually we don't, we're spraying at the beginning of the spring, of the season, we're only spraying 2 nights a week. And then when they start to get bad, we're only spraying 4 nights a week. It's only because from the storm and the rain that we, for the last week and a half or so, we've been spraying that much. But we're gonna scale back from there, and it's gonna be a whole lot less.
Well, what about the fact of amping more when they're in hibernation or whatever, to make sure that they're dead?
You're not gonna kill, you're not gonna
Well, I don't
kill
know,
them all.
I'm asking, I mean, you say they hatch out, I mean, at some point, they gotta be.
Yeah, it's a cycle. You're not killing every mosquito when you spray. What's left is going to hatch. In 3 to 5 days, you're gonna have another hatch come off, and it's gonna be just as bad, if not worse.
So basically, if we would average 4 times a year with flyover at $12,000, that's $48,000.
That's a lot more than the budget. But
Well, I mean,
you have
the
to
budget,
understand,
you know-
the only time the city has
But
ever
Albert,
been
Albert,
sprayed. Go ahead.
listen, we understand about the budget. The budget can be amended to satisfy the people. The people can't come out their homes. Okay, I think that's a nuisance that I'm pretty sure if you ask the question, would you mind the city spending an extra $20,000 or $30,000 to make sure that you can come outside and play with your kids and grandkids? I'm pretty sure that'd be an astounding yes. Okay, so sometimes you have to bite the bullet to get results, but I mean, and I'm gonna tell you what the word is. The stuff that's being sprayed, it only gets the mosquitoes hungry. That's the stuff. I mean, that's what I've been told. I told them, well, I don't know what's being sprayed, but at the end of the day, something has to be done. I mean, the citizens. I know they calling me. I'm pretty sure they calling everybody else over here. What's going on with the mosquitoes? Okay. Now, what about the ballparks? Peter, what's happening at the ballparks? You having the same problem at the ballparks, right?
Spray around the ballpark, yeah. You spray.
Okay, now the ballpark is having tournaments every night, am I
Right,
right?
but they,
Well, I mean, whenever you have tournaments.
yeah, they have them every weekend, but we spray we go by there every night, we spray.
Okay, well, I'm just asking, but I'm just saying.
And there's a whole lot less grass than there was. There aren't mosquitoes in that turf,
I understand,
you know?
but I'm just saying,
We're spraying, but we can
we need
spray.
to look at the fact and to use what works. You know, just something maybe later on next year, hopefully, we have a frost and they'll take care of things, but.
Thank you. It's a food for thought, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's all it's about. It's not blaming anybody. It's just that I'd rather spend $12,000 on a flyover to take care of me if it's just for a month or whatever, than spend money every night and they get worse. Okay, because remember, when they start the rice, the fields are starting to be flooded with water, correct? Okay, well, I know that's breeding, I guess they breed in the same water that the rice grows in and the crawfish. You know,
They do, any water.
yeah, that's what I'm
They
saying.
breed in any water.
Just something to think about. Thank you, man.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Anything else?
Anybody else? Go.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
That's
Core.
one question. I had a question for a few constituents. What's the speed recommended that the vehicle travel when spraying?
His average speed right now is 12 miles an hour. Okay? When I set the mix, it's for 15, which is putting out less chemical at 15 than it is at 12. Because if you're putting out 7 ounces a minute, and you cut your speed down 20%, well, that's gonna increase the amount of chemical that's coming out while you're spraying. Now, if you speed up, you're putting out less, because you're putting your chemical out, but you're over to that wall a lot quicker than if you're going 3 or 4 miles an hour less.
I did have the person that contacted me, 2 of them, indicated that when they were traveling on a 2nd Street, that they were probably going 20, 25 miles an hour the other night.
Well, there's only one man spraying, and he may have already made a pass and going back to another area.
Oh, so the spraying continues whether he goes back a second time?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, spraying continues.
Since the machine doesn't cut.
No, machine does not go.
Okay.
And I think you said that they only go east and west, right? They don't go
Yes.
north and south.
East
I
and west,
remember
well,
that.
that depends on the wind.
Right.
That depends on the wind. Wind direction.
But the prevailing winds.
Or you're mostly out of the south, yes.
Okay, well, we got our mosquito class done now. We can move on.
Come by my office anytime, I'll be glad to go over any aspect of it with you. Any.
Thank you. All right. Anything else from Mr. John? That's it. All right. Mr. Gilbert Osing, the street commissioner. And we don't want to class on asphalt there or any of the ditch digging. Thank you.
Thank you. We still try to keep up cutting the grass because of the rain we be getting and off and on. Still repairing potholes. We installed culverts at 1210 and 1226 Wright Avenue. Also at 1005 East 8th Street. Still all up under the new ordinance. And we built 3 catch basins. Still continuing digging ditches and cleaning our culverts. We installed a 4-way stop signs at 14 at 14 at Taylor, and also the 3-way at 15 at Taylor. And that's about it. Any questions?
Great. Anything, Mr. Core?
Mr. Gilbert, the tree situation, with low-hanging limbs over the streets that probably fall below 12 or 13 feet, and some of those limbs that block some of the, street signs, is that being attended to? I put several work orders
Yes,
in,
sir.
but, well, few, but I know that there's several locations.
Yes, sir, we take care of all the low limbs, especially with the signs, street signs, stop sign, and buses and fire trucks to pick that, level it off, and bring it about 14 or 15 feet up.
Okay, so that is what
Yes, sir.
the standard is?
Right.
All right, great, because I had some of the individuals that had, campers
Right.
that were saying it was hitting the top.
Right,
But at 13 or 14 feet, then that's very high.
right.
That's the height of a bridge on the interstate.
Well, you get a rain, it's gonna come down, so you might as well just bring it up as high as possible.
Well, because of the
If
weight.
it's gonna get heavy, it's gonna
Yes.
still come down,
Yes,
so.
and then they'll come back up when it's
Right,
dry.
but it's gonna be dry.
I see, so it does vary, it's true.
Right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Martin?
Yeah, but did you get a chance to, check on that situation today?
I did, we could take care of that first thing in the morning,
Okay,
caught me off guard, and we was all being busy.
all right,
It's
listen.
gonna be taken care of.
Listen, I don't know how busy y'all day is, but somebody needs to, ride these roads and just map out where all these holes, these potholes are.
Right.
Even though you might have put rocks in it last week, chances are the rocks were, mashed down and probably need more. But we need to keep up with that because, I witnessed something today that when I called you about it, I was very disturbed on that.
Right.
All right, and the bottom line is, add a 3-way, to me, that should have been filled a long time ago.
It was filled.
Right, but well, that's what I'm saying, I mean,
Yeah,
you can't, I wouldn't use the term, every week check it, but I mean, it wouldn't hurt just to pass. You know, if it was a problem before, chances are it's gonna be a problem again.
I got you.
And, you know, just keep a map, just, you know, whether it's in your head or what have you, or somebody just go out and check them, because, we had one constituent, she gave me a bill. Well, when she went by rocks, so I don't know who did that bill to. But it's going to somebody.
Right.
So, Mayor, it's gonna be on your desk. What you do with it, that's between you and whatever, but, it looks pretty bad when a constituent has to go by rocks. And she did say that she made, numerous calls and whatever, but anyway, if you could just, keep up with that, man, I would appreciate it, man.
Take care of that, sir.
Thank you.
Hopefully, the engineer's report's gonna tell us that they're gonna start the street overlay projects, and
Right.
we won't have to worry about all these potholes
But
anymore.
the father is still there now, he needs attention now.
Anything else for Mr. Gilbert? Thank you, Mr. Gilbert, appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Next up, we have Mr. Tim Maters, city engineer, with all the good news.
Thank you, sir. I think you all have a copy of my report, begins on page 2 from Public Works Committee. I do have some action items and a few updates that I'd like to point out to you. On page 2 at the bottom, item A, citywide drainage improvements project. The action is on the next page, page 3. If you turn to page 3 and look at where I have letter B in the left margin, just letting you know that the Southern Constructors contract is now expected to be complete by February 19th. That's by virtue of the time extension that the council granted to them last month. In October, construction would be expected to continue for the Park Street, Avenue G area drainage improvements, and then move on to Marcel Thomas area after that. And that would depend on the progress with CLECO relocating some utilities, some power poles along Hutchinson, further downstream in our outfall system. I do have partial payment estimate number 15, where you see the letter C. As of September 30th, we were 71% complete by time, almost level, but at 69% complete by cost. And partial payment estimate number 15 estimates the total value of work through the month of September is $3,064,768 and some pennies. The amount of $153,238.40 is withheld for liens, and the total amount due for September is $183,722.11, and I would like you to consider approving that partial payment number 15.
I'll make that motion as read, seconded by Mr. Martin. Discussion. Mr. Franklin.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Mayor, Marcel Thomas, that's the last area?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Mayor, is it Southern Constructors that is doing all the drainage work on, I guess it's Avenue C by Miller Stadium? That's a big project going on there, or is that the Triton doing that?
It's probably trade.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Yeah, just to clarify, Southern doesn't have any work in that area, so I know it's not Southern. So. If you turn the page, on page 4, citywide street improvements project and bond issue as an update. We talked to Sean Toops, one of our financial advisors, and he tells us that the bond sale for the 2021 series, which is the $6 million tranche, is expected to take place in November, and that such timing will be consistent with the timing of a bid process for contract B, which I'll explain shortly. No action on that. Page 5, top of the page where you see letter F, contract A. Clint, you were asking about that. The notice to proceed for that project was set at October 4th, and we've been marking out the patching, and patching work is expected to begin this week, weather permitting. And I want to distinguish between the patching that this contractor is doing and the kind of patching that you and Steph were talking to Gilbert about. This is the permanent patching where we're going down maybe 8 inches, 10 inches, providing a new base where there was a failure, and that's setting up the overlay project to come thereafter. Nothing that we're doing here should prevent you from having Gilbert continue with his patching to make sure nobody has ruts to fall into until we get to the actual final patching. Any questions about that? No action. Contract B mentioned the funding. We're expecting the bond sale to go forward in November. We will also come to you in November with our plans and specifications for approval and the authorization to advertise for bids. And I give you the timetable there where you see the letter G. Contract B is what we expect the timing to be to get to the beginning of construction for contract B. On page 5, at H, the letter H, city-owned parking lot improvements, that is an action item. If you'll turn to page 6, I'm giving you there in the red and yellow, highlight the status at I and J. The contractor has asked us to approve change order number 4 to accomplish 2 things. One is to grant them a 60 calendar day time extension, and also to come up with a new pay item at the amount of $18,331 for installation of 2 conflict boxes in the new subsurface drainage system at the old swimming pool parking lot. There was a grade conflict between the new drainage system and a 12-inch local water line and a 12-inch city sewage force main. Those had to be addressed with a conflict box. Conflict box allows the utility to go through the box and allows drainage to come through at a 90-degree direction. Partial payment number 7 is also going to be involved. I'd like you to, first of all, consider approving change order number 4. And that would be for the 60-day time extension and the $18,331 pay item for the conflict boxes.
I'll make that motion as read.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Core. Discussion?
And just to clarify,
Go ahead.
the local water line was probably not known about when the initial bid was submitted.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And you think they'll have all of this stuff finished in 60 days? There's a lot of stuff to be done. I think they still have all of Miller Stadium to do, and then they have the girls' park or the swim pool area and pony park. I mean, there's a lot to be done.
Yeah, I hope so. I would rather them have requested a lesser amount of time and then request another time extension than to request, maybe double that, and they didn't need all that time they used it to go somewhere else. I prefer to go it this way.
Hopefully they can get it done before baseball season starts.
Yeah, I think we will for sure.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
And then the partial payment estimate number 7, as of September 30th, the time had basically expired at 98%, but your 60 days will lower that, it'll change that. They are 63% complete by cost. So hopefully there'll be parity with the time extension and the progress we hope that they will make in October. Partial payment number 7 has the total value of work completed at $1,349,953.87, and we're withholding $68,997.24 for material liens, and the total amount due then for the month of September is $146,460.54.
Motion is read.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Core. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Give you an update on page 10. The bottom of page 10, the subject is city bridges. And if you turn the page, page 11, you'll see where I have item R. Just wanted to let you know that we are expecting and hoping that the contractor will get to remove the Avenue G bridge sometime in October. We'll have to get the media involved in informing emergency services, etc. But we hope to see the Avenue G bridge, that's near 14th, 15th Street area. Remove that bridge and then begin construction of the box that will replace it, the concrete box. No action, I just wanted you to know that was coming soon. If there are no questions, that's all I needed to bring up at Public Works Committee today.
I got a question.
Yes, Mr. Martin?
Yeah, what is going on with the dirt work over at the MLK?
Can you press your mic, please?
Last time we had talked, there was some dirt work being done over there. What's the status of that?
I'm not familiar with dirt work going on in MLK.
Can you have some insight on it? I know we had talked about some of the lower areas.
That was us within the department.
Okay.
We were hauling some of that dirt from Avenue C from the ballpark,
Right,
filling in the low spots.
okay.
We're gonna continue that as soon as we can get a good dry spell to haul
Okay.
some more out there.
All right, I was just asking, I thought it would be all in the same. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from Mr. Mayor? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Any other legal items to come before the Public Works Committee? Then committee recess.
Thank you, sir. Next is utility, Mr. Martin.
We're gonna go ahead and convene, we have a quorum.
Turn the mic.
Do we have a quorum? Yeah, we do. Tim, hold up, Tim Craig? Wastewater superintendent,
Good afternoon.
everybody.
Over the month of September, we had received 195 Louisiana one-call locate requests, had 22 work orders filed. 2 of the 3 pumps that we had sent out sometime back, 3+ months ago, we received those back, put back in service. We've recently ordered backup pumps for 16th Street Pump Station, Parker City Mill Street Pump Station. We're waiting on paperwork from a vendor to deal with them on pumps at the Cedar Pump Station, Cedar Street and Hutchison. We've had 2 repairs done under the EL Habits contract, a washout in the middle of the roadway in the 600 block of North Avenue I, and one in the high 500 block of North Avenue G. Even though Avenue G did not separate the road or fall in there, there was a air gap, under air pocket underneath the edge of the roadway that we repaired as we were backfilling. We continue to monitor those 2 areas because we've noticed that it's settled some. We've added some limestone. We've had issues with that where the mud and the limestone mixed during the rain created some issues. We've kind of done a little more work there. We'll continue to watch that and see what happens as that goes. We have a big project that's going to be occurring, and I say big, we're going to lay a shoulder line roughly 280 feet down Mill Street on the edge of the roadway across from the recreation center that services the old Dory rice mill office and storage facility. After meeting with Mr. Mayor and looking at the line that comes out, we would have to spot dig probably every 5 feet going east on Mill Street down the eastbound lane to try to find the problem, 1, and to locate the line, 2, to see where it goes, because we have no record in our Y records from years past where that line goes.
Is it on the city's right of way?
Yes, sir. It'll be down off the shoulder of the road, and it will tie in on a main line that cuts across Oscar Johnson Drive.
How deep do y'all go into the city right of way for this one particular, job that y'all doing?
We'll be off the road roughly 5 feet.
5 feet?
Yeah, right off the edge of the road. In fact, there's a shoulder pad off the street itself. We'll be right to the right of that.
Oh, okay.
It's not 30, 40 feet, it's gonna be right there. And we're gonna tie into an existing line coming out of there, out of the right of way and bring it down to the main. We've received calls during the last rain event concerning sewer issues and drainage issues. We get the call and people say, well, we have a drainage issue. Once we do the investigation, there's 2 different departments. Sewer goes one way, drainage goes the other. We've heard things, toilets are bubbling, they're gurgling, they don't flush, they run slow, my shower water's backing up, things of that. The best way I can explain it, infiltration enters the sewer lines throughout the city, through pipe connections that are damaged or defective, manhole structures that are over time broke down, open clean out taps, things like that. If it's happening in one neighborhood, it might not be just there. It could be in another section of town that, because all the water enters, each system pumps to a different system. best way to explain it, go to in your bathroom, in your sink, push the stopper in, turn your water on. Let it start filling up. It's gonna go into an overflow. That water runs right back into your sewer pipe. Leave your water running and just pop that popper a little bit and continue to allow the water. A couple of things will happen. It'll either overflow on the floor or it will slowly go down. So once that occurs, turn your water off and watch the water go slowly. That's sort of how the collection system works when you have a lot of infiltration. We try to monitor different areas for that to happen, and we do see it. It's unfortunate that it does occur. We do our best if we get a call to go out and see if there is stoppage to help that person out. You know, if they are clogged up, we will do it. But once the water goes down, it takes a little time. It's not a 1 hour or 2 hour deal. You know, it does take a little bit of time. We are still looking for staff members. I spoke with Julie this morning. There was an ad that was posted in at the job service office here in town. They can apply there. I think it made its way to social media, which I know has been shared. But if anybody's out there looking, you know, by all means, we will sit down, look at your application, and see where we can go.
How short are you now?
I'm sorry?
How short are
We
you
have
now?
we have two positions that are short. We are looking for additional to add. Other than that, that's what I have for my.
Have you got any questions? Joe?
Thank you, Chair. My understanding, maybe Tim can help, part of the grant that we should be getting for smoke testing will help dictate, find those voids in the systems that you speak of, correct?
That's correct. It'll pinpoint, not all the leaks, but it'll pinpoint the majority.
Well, one of the problems we're gonna have is, the honor system, where a person know they have a leak, or will y'all be smoke testing?
The city, the entire city's gonna be smoke tested.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
when the leak will occur, I mean, there'll be video, pictures, everything. The property owner will be notified, and I believe that, Mr. Mayor can correct me, if they're in the low to moderate income range,
Right.
they'll be able to fill out some paperwork and have that leak, if it's on private property, repaired at no charge to that.
Well, that's a situation, that I'm referring to. A lot of people figure, well, it's gonna be an expense that they would have to incur. Jim, what, is that's gonna be some type of, I mean, you wanna talk about this damn paper, but anyway, how will we get the word out to people about that this is a free service?
The company that'll be there, I mean, but we'll do best we can with word of mouth. I'm sure there'll be, articles posted out there. And once it's done in one neighborhood or one person, the word of mouth.
So
will
basically,
travel
word of
amongst
mouth,
the
word
people.
of mouth, okay. Well, I think, we're gonna be, putting together a town hall meeting pretty soon, so that'd be something that we can talk about. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
That's it, all right, thank you, Tim. All right, let's see, Tim Mayer, city engineer?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Start on page 16 of my report. That's the beginning of the utility committee engineer report. I do have some updates and action items. You turn to page 18, top of the page at item C, bold C there at the top left. That's the conduit replacement project. We're about 90% complete with plans and specs, and we expect to present the final plans to council at the November meetings, along with a resolution approving the plans and authorizing the advertisement for bids. bids, which will be contingent upon approval of DEQ. Item D there on that same page, I've combined the UV system replacement project and ammonia nitrogen media replacement project in one item there because they're gonna go together as ARPA, ARPA funded projects. If you look at item D where I have in yellow and red highlight, or red and yellow highlight, the city received a check for $2,327,850 in ARPA Tranche 1 grant funding under that American Rescue Plan Act. The UV system replacement and the ammonia nitrogen media replacement projects are eligible activities under ARPA regulations and guidelines. So we've recommended, with the help of Tim Crater, to the mayor, that we apply the ARPA Tranche 1 funds to those projects that I have there highlighted. Number one, you see the dot there, replacement of ammonia nitrogen media, which will include some marsh pond improvements and some additional aeration. And that's estimated at this time to cost in the neighborhood of $1.69 million. And the replacement of the ultraviolet disinfection system, the UV system, is estimated at $1.56 million. That totals $3.25 million. We do have capital outlay grant, so if you take $810,000 in grant funds from that 3.25, the remaining to be funded is $2,440,000. And then the ARPA Tranche 1 funding, as I mentioned, is $2,328,000 almost. So under these estimates, we could accomplish those projects and possibly need a relatively, anyway, small amount of local funding at $112,150. I want to mention that Tranche 1 is half the money that's supposed to come to the city. All the cities in Louisiana were funded in an amount, and 50% of that amount was sent to each city in the form of a check directly to those cities. So the city of Crowley received half of the total funding. We are not recommending on planning to use the Tranche 2 funding, which is the same amount, $2,327,850. It's not expected to come into the city coffers until sometimes mid-year next year. And it's our thinking that the Tranche 2 grant funding shouldn't be counted on until it actually arrives. We're dealing with the federal government, and if you remember, we started hearing we were going to get Tranche 1 money in April or May, and it didn't come in until now. So we don't think that there would be any reason to begin to look at how to spend the second tranche. We're just going to focus on the first. I do show there that all ARPA funds are expected to be obligated by grantees by December 31st, 2024, and spent by December 31st, 2026. So those are reasonable time deadlines, but time goes by pretty quickly, so we do need to move. In order to proceed with the project under the ARPA Tranche 1 funding, the federal guidelines for the expenditure of the funds make it mandatory that you go through a procurement process for engineering services. All mid-sized cities, nearly all of them, have city engineers. And even though that's the case, the federal regulations say you cannot engage an engineer for this project and use this money to pay for the engineering unless you've opened up the project to all engineering firms who may be interested in applying for it.
So you're saying we have to do RFP, is that what you're relating to?
We're going to advertise that this project is ready to come out. In fact, both projects have to be, each project has to be advertised separately.
We do have the right of first refusal, though, correct?
Yeah, you get to choose who you want to choose, but you've got to go through a system that they feel is legitimately giving anybody who's interested a chance at showing what their qualifications are and being rated accordingly.
Yeah, but that's not a show of good faith. I know what you're going, we're going to do something similar like that in Monroe. But to me, that's a waste of time. I mean, if and I'm not trying to toot anybody's horn or take anything away from anybody, but you're gonna have some people just do an application or whatever the process is, just to get their name out there. And it's gonna be a waste of time and whatever, half the people don't even qualify. We're going through it now, and I know it sounds monotonous, but you got some firms out there, that's how they more or less get their wheels rolling. But as long as we have the right of first refusal, that's not a problem.
Yes, sir, you will be able to rate the applications and make a selection according to the rating. In order to proceed, we need to adopt 2 resolutions that would authorize the procurement process. And
You need them separately, or you can put them both together?
they're 2 different resolutions.
Is that, we already have it on packet?
Yes, it's in your packet.
There's a resolution for each project, so you'll have to take them separately. First resolution authorizing the procurement process for engineering services for the City of Crowley's American Rescue Plan Act Tranche 1 grant project, which is the replacement of the ultraviolet UV disinfection system.
Have an offer,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Second resolution, authorizing the procurement process for engineering services for the City of Crowley's ARPA Tranche 1 grant project known as replacement of ammonium nitrogen media, marsh pond improvements, additional aeration, and appurtenances.
Offer,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I have an update on page 19. This is the LCDBG project that Tim Crater brought up, and Jeff had a question about it. Turn the page to page 20. I have there the update at bold F. Plans and specs are 90% complete. We expect to submit the plans to the LCDBG office next week. And upon their approval of that, and there's some environmental submittals, a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape, but we think we'll get approval on the plans in November, and then we would be taking bids either in December or January. No action, that's just an update. And that's all I have for utility committee.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Anything else that come before the utility? Recess.
Thank you. Next is zoning and annexation committee. Let's see, Steve's not here, Stephen not here. Nope, we do not have a quorum. However, we do not have anything on the agenda for that committee. Oh, Mr. Mayor, I apologize. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't believe I have any action items. Let me see. There are no action items, and the updates are for you to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Got a question.
Next, since we do not have a quorum and you do not have a report, we'll continue and move on to Recreation Committee
I have a question.
for,
Zoning and annexation.
we do not have a quorum, and we cannot open the committee. Next, we'll move to Recreation Committee. Recreation, Mr. Primo is not here. Mr. Clint Crater?
We don't have a quorum, Mayor.
You do not have a quorum, that is correct. All right, so you can continue, there's no action, you can continue for Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mayor, then I would ask that the item, which is on page 25 of my report, item 1, Recreation Trails Grant Application. A lot to absorb there about the status and the difficulties that we're having with that grant and that project because of an archaeological find in the area where that rec trails project would be built. So I'll have to bring it up. We do need to consider action at your meeting next week, so I need it on the agenda of that meeting. But in the meantime, it would be really good if I could read through what I presented there. I know it's long, but I tried to condense where we are in the project and what we face with the decision that needs to be made.
All right, thank you.
That's all I have.
Point of order, point
Nick?
of order, point of order.
And what grounds, Mr.
The grounds,
You say a
yes,
point of order in
yes,
which grounds?
because basically, you just made a statement that, no questions could be asked in zoning annexation because there wasn't a quorum, but yet you allowed it in recreation.
We allowed Mr. Mader to give his report, and just like we did in the prior one. He didn't have anything on his report.
And I'm gonna say it again. Listen to what you just said. You, and unless I heard differently, you said there was no quorum, so therefore no questions, and you couldn't even open a zoning annexation. So what's the difference?
Allowing Mr. Mader to give his report.
But why didn't you allow me to ask the question? That's, I mean, you tell me, what is the difference? You just said there was a lack of a quorum, that you couldn't open, no questions asked, but yet you allowed it in another committee. So you just tell me what's the difference. I figured that.
Thank you. Mr. Krager, do you want to allow Mr. Kirsch to give his report?
I would think that all of us here would love to hear Mr. Kirsch give his report.
Thank you.
Thank you. The CRD flag football season will open this Saturday. We're 1 week delayed because of weather. I'd like to thank Coach Cook over at Notre Dame High School and Notre Dame High School for use of their practice field this season. Our CRD soccer season will open up on the 23rd of October, which is the Saturday after the Rice Festival. Anyone that knows of anyone that would be interested in officiating soccer, please have them contact me. We're finding difficulty in tracking down soccer officials at this time, but we'll get it hemmed up. I'd like to thank the wastewater department for the use of their backhoe and their dump truck to haul dirt, as I had mentioned earlier, to the Martin Luther King Center, and also to help us spread the playground mulch that we had delivered to for the parks in town. So if your park in your ward did not get a fresh batch of mulch, just stay tuned. We'll have more coming. Parking lot progress, as you heard earlier, is moving slow because of weather delays, but it's moving forward nonetheless. I'm hoping to see the new Pony and Heritage lot done within the month, and I did get an update from Mr. Harrington at Mader Engineering right before the meeting that they're looking at finishing up the base, the limestone base layer within the next 2 days, and then have the asphalt crew there within the week after. So I'm hoping that lot's done within the next 2 to 3 weeks, weather permitting. So we're still hosting fall events on the Sundays. The other thing that we've seen that the number of teams in the fall events have gone down, but we're getting a higher rate than we expected of teams renting the facilities for practice, and we're still seeing teams from the Sports Baton Rouge coming to rent fields in Crowley. So it's kind of flattering that they're willing to drive an hour plus one way to come get some playtime over in Crowley. I'd also like to thank in advance the Lions Club of Crowley. Got confirmation yesterday. They will donate a new 80-foot flagpole for the complex, along with a 20 by 30-foot American flag to go on top of that pole. It will be located right behind the Bronco concession area. If you've been up there, it's the triangular piece of grass where all the sidewalks meet. That pole, to put into perspective, if you drive down Oscar Johnson and you see the outfield light poles at Miller Stadium, that's 80 feet. So that flag will be visible from all 9 fields instead of 9 little fields, little flags all over the place, and we'll be able to light it up, and it's going to be a center point. I'm really excited. Thank you to the Lions Club for that. So we had a work order this month in the Recreation Department. South Crowley Park, we got a complaint about the streetlights in the park going on and off. We were able to get in touch with the help of Mr. Brent over at the street department to get Glico there yesterday. They changed and put all new streetlights in the park, and they trim some branches, speaking to Josh at Fleco. So if anybody calls about a park, especially streetlights in your ward, give me a call and we'll go get the the street pole numbers and we'll give Fleco a call. All right, any questions?
Did you unofficially give us an update on the Martin Luther King Center bathrooms while you're there?
The mayor, we'll have that data on that.
Anything else from Mr. Kirsch? I saw the movement of the poles for Miller Stadium is underway. That looks like that's gonna be awesome.
Yes,
And serious drainage going on down there too, so.
bigger project than I ever imagined. Yeah. Okay,
Anything else? That's it. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kirsch.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor, would you like to give us an update on the bathrooms at Martin Luther King?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you for allowing me to do that. I'll give you both updates briefly. Yesterday, I spoke with Mr. Josh Huffpower, who is our architect, on both the MLK Center and the Rice Festival building. I will also tell you that Mader Engineering is assisting us in those funding. We have to make sure that we also agree to the Treasury Department of the state in order to get those funds for the city of Crowley to become with the CEA that we have to prepare a resolution. Mader Engineering will prepare that resolution for this coming Wednesday's meeting, so that way we can get moving on this very quickly on both of the projects. And both of these will be happening to Mader Engineering.
Great, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, you have anything else?
No, sir, nothing to add.
Okay, then the Recreation Committee unofficially recesses.
Thank you. All right, Public Safety Committee Public Safety Committee, Mr. Core.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to call the order of the Public Safety Committee. We have a forum present with Mr. Stephen Primo absent. And we'll begin with reports by Chief of Police Jimmy Broussard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Crowley Police Department responded to 948 calls for service in the month of September. Included in this number were 1 aggravated battery, 13 domestic abuse battery calls, 150 disturbance calls, 9 hit-and-run accidents, 10 attempted suicides, 1 home invasion, 10 illegal use of weapons calls, 9 simple burglaries, 5 simple burglary of a vehicle, 4 simple burglary of a business calls, 61 theft calls, 73 suspicious person calls, 26 suspicious vehicle calls. Our Narcotics Division served 2 search warrants in the month of September on known houses where illegal narcotics are being used and sold. 23 citations were written by officers just for traffic this month in the city limits. Ted had a total of 33 citations. Part of the reason of the low numbers on citations is that during the month of September, we had 11 people out who tested positive for COVID. 2 were out with surgeries and 1 with another illness. All divisions pitched in, administration, detectives, narcotics, and reserve, to assist patrol during these shortage days, with many of those named working night hours to assist. All but 2 personnel at present have returned to work. We are still 3 short in number, and we are attempting to hire.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief? Mr. Infeld?
Thank you, Chair. Chief, the 3 hires, what are they gonna be? Patrol?
Patrol, yes, ma'am.
They're all, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to Fire Chief Louis Rebello's report. And I think the Fire Chief is here, yes.
Good afternoon. For the month of September, the Crowley Fire Department responded to 46 calls, of which one of those was a structure fire, 8 firearms, 22 EMS calls, 5 hazmat, 2 vehicle accidents, 6 public assist, 1 trash fire, and 1 assist to PD. Our average monthly response time for September was 3 minutes and 2 seconds per call. Give you a little bit of what's going on at the fire department. Act 45 monies has been completed. I sent off the expense reports for last year's Act 45 money. It's been completed, it's been closed. Act 120 money, the application has been received by the Treasurer's Office. The application has been accepted, and we're just waiting on a check. In the last 4 weeks, the fire department's been responding to the Hurricane Ida response. Hurricane affected areas, we brought 12.5 tons of supplies. We delivered 2,500 t-shirts. We served 1,975 plates of food. And the locations we went to was Houma, Borg, Montague, Lockport, Galliano, Bayou Cane, Matthews, Golden Meadow, Kenner, Slidell, St. Bernard, Covington, Hammond, LaPlace, Dennis Springs, Livingston Parish, Port Fourchon, Grand Isle, St. Charles Sheriff's Department, St. John Fire Department, Louisiana State Police Troop C, Luling, and Hunville. Any questions?
Outstanding. Yeah, thank you, and all first responders for assistance.
One Crowley, made a lot of this happen with their donations and the food donations and the money donations, so, I like to thank one.
Yes, thank one crowd as well.
Any questions?
Yes, can you clarify what the Act 45 money is, what's that gonna be applied to?
One more time?
The Act 45 funding?
Act 45 was $20,000, given to us last year. That's the $20,000 that we used to buy chainsaws, buy, thermal imagers. Every engine now has a thermal imager. We purchased chainsaws. Every fire truck now has a chainsaw, an electric positive pressure fan, and to equip the new DC unit with lights and siren.
Right.
The Act 120 money, we did not receive that check yet. He told me we should have it next week, and that is the $125,000 grant to help refurbish the Central Fire Station.
Thank you, answer that question.
Any questions?
Any questions, Chief? Stringfellow?
Thank you, Chair. So the 20,000, was that part of COVID relief money?
No, ma'am.
So that's part of like hurricane?
Representative Stefanski,
Okay, I remember.
so what we were doing for the Hurricane Delta thing, of us cutting trees and all that, and he found out we were using like personal chainsaws, and he said, we're gonna get y'all some money, get some money.
Okay.
So that
I remember that.
$20,000 was dedicated for fight with.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any more?
No questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next, we have on the code enforcement, Officer Tony Duhan, who is, again, absent. And I do have an email with his report, which I'll be happy to read. Saying today at 1:32 p.m. Good afternoon. Code enforcement violations, 25. Tall grass, 3 trash and rubbish, 2 uninhabitable structures, 1 unpermitted building location with 11 warning violations. On the permits, 19 electrical, 1 sign, 6 gas, 3 repair, and 2 demo, with addresses of 1020 West 5th Street and 1108 West 8th Street. 1 plan review, approximately 198 phone calls. Under animal control, dogs taken in 16, cats taken in 9, 1 citation with 3 charges. Animal control had 54 phone calls. Contact us with any further information needed. Respectfully, Tony. Mayor, do you have any information on locations of these particular citations and violations?
Not with me at the moment.
Because previously, I had Mr. Duhan give us a kind of a spreadsheet with the addresses of these properties so we can kind of track so we don't have a lot of, work orders put back in or complaints about issues that already been taken care of. And I would like, appreciate it if you could give us kind of a location of where these, violations, or properties are located.
Any violations in particular?
Well, that's what I'm asking for, the ones that are listed here, like 25 tall grass, doesn't give a location, so we don't know if that's in whose ward or what have you, as well as uninhabitable structures. I'm sorry. Steph?
As chair of this committee, you have the right to ask for a copy of each one of those citations, okay? I'm getting sick and tired of the fact that, I'm in that tall grass, I mean, you walk outside, there's 20 of them when you walk outside, and he only gave 3?
Sorry, 25.
He gave 25. Well, I don't know who got them, because I sure wasn't in my district.
We don't know.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. As chair, you can request this, and I would like to have a copy of any and all citations. We went through the trouble of getting them a citation book, the least he can do is let us know that it's being used.
Well, that's why I was asking for the addresses, that way at least we know the location, without getting all the details, because some of the citations, you know, I'm
Well,
not sure there's
the
any
next
precedent.
question is, if they got a citation, well, don't they pay a fine?
Well, they have to do it. There's a process.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying that they get a citation, but that the citation has no meaning?
Mr. Fellows?
I only know because I asked about a particular property recently, and, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, but there's a warning first, and then there's a citation. So there's a process, kind of like with the blighted property, you know, there's a process that they follow. And there's, time limit in between each, like, they get a warning first. I don't know if they just get one warning, and then, you know, citation after that.
Well, with all due respect, you just said he gave citations.
Right.
So, I mean, chief, if you give a citation, isn't there a copy of a citation? Okay, and he's supposed to be code enforcement, correct? Well, where the hell is he? I mean, you know, everybody talking about where's Waldo, where the hell is Tony? You know, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, it's getting to a point now where, I've made phone calls over there, and to be quite honest with you, I was in the lobby when I made the phone call, knowing they were in there. They still didn't pick up the damn phone. But listen, man, this person is getting paid with taxpayers' money. And unless I'm miscounting, what, 12 meetings, 15 meetings?
Mr. Chair, I'm
Well,
gonna ask you get order because, I will.
Well, I mean, you can ask order, but once again, this is committee meetings, okay? This is committee. This is not your normal meeting, this is committee. I'm asking the chair.
I will remind you that.
Well,
you need
the
to be
problem
lawyer.
is, where is it?
Mr. Core, I will ask you one more time to gain order.
Man, you know what, this is, why is it that you're hiding this person? I mean, that's the question I ask.
Steph, you know, again, you know, we've asked, we don't have the authority to have.
How
him
much longer
here.
do you have in office? That's kind of-
But let me ask a question, Mayor. Like, for instance, the one unpermitted building location with 11 warning violations. You know, why 11 warning violations? I mean, I'd like to know why.
Have you been to his office to ask him that question?
Well, no, I just.
Okay, well then, I would suggest, you know, instead of asking me, and everybody wants to know absolutely, but if you would ask, go to Mr. Tony, go visit with him tomorrow, and ask him that question. His office is open every day.
Oh, sure, I visit with him quite often, but again, in addition to others, would like to have these answers.
Yes.
But we'll move on with my comment.
But if every department head has to be here, why not him?
Thank you, Chair. Can we get a copy of that, report that he sent you? Because I try to write it all down, but
He should
is
have
there
sent
any
it.
way?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I'll forward it to you. I forwarded it to the Public Safety Committee members, but I'll go.
And I can
You
also,
should have it.
Oh, you did?
I mean,
I can also forward it to you.
I'm sorry.
thank you, Mayor.
I'll forward it to every council member.
Okay, next, beer and liquor licenses. We have 21 renewals that have been submitted. And we have copies, I have a copy of the applications, all signed by the city inspector, the clerk, as well as Chief Jimmy Broussard. And at this time, I move to approve these in global as listed. Second, discussion. All in favor? Chief, do you have any comments on that?
I do, I'm in receipt of an email today, which I want to formally acknowledge that I have received, by Alderman Cavell. I just have a couple of questions. We are getting those figures together, but we're wanting all establishments, or just bars, or just problem areas, or?
I think I stated establishments that are license renewals.
Okay, okay. Because I mean, I know like we had a fight at ShopRite 72 when they're fault, but, and then there's a.
These are also like information that we don't get, and like I mentioned before, a few months ago, the establishment that had 4 shoes in front of it. I asked you then, is that something you consider
Yes.
when you sign off on these sheets, these applications? And, you know, a lot of these incidents happen when most people are sleeping. So we don't know anything about it. The only way we know is if we ask, like, I asked for citation information from Tony, I'm asking the same information from you as well as public, complaints possibly. You know, I know the big issue this past weekend was litter all up and down, south of the courthouse in Parkinson. So that's what I was looking for in order to make a decision.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions for Chief? All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Ford, for the
Yes.
record, could we ask for that vote again? I only heard one.
I'm sorry, all
Maybe
in
I
favor,
didn't hear.
for these renewals to move to the full council?
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Unanimous. Next on action items, recommending a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Crowley, Katy Parish, Louisiana, ordering and issuing a rule to show cause to set a public hearing for condemnation of property situated on Lot 10 of Block 4 of Walker Addition, bearing municipal address of 316 Span Avenue, Crowley, Louisiana, owned by Kenneth W. Karuma and Edwina Wildridge Karuma. And I so move.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion? I thought that this is for, just to set a public hearing.
Who's second? Yeah, Mr. Martin. Sir, I'm sorry.
And this is to set,
This is just to move this forward to full council, and just to let everyone know that there has been an appointed attorney for this particular site.
thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And next we'll move on to discussion items. I'd like to have Mr. Rick Hughes address, I think he needs to go to Houston today, and I'd like to move him to the top of the list for a special request that he made. And we want to make sure that we have the 3-minute rule to follow, so we'll
Okay.
keep things
I
streamlined.
can make it very simple. About 2.5 years ago, I presented the idea of putting 4-way stops over at the park. And there was a couple of different reasons for resistance during that time. One was that it would be too loud if a person stopped their vehicle and then started back up again. And so I addressed that and went down with the decibel meter and actually found just the opposite, that the noise level is less when someone stops and then they go forward rather than the traffic going through. The second one was, excuse me, what was a matter of not putting up stop signs to control speed limits. You put up a stop sign, obviously, for safety reasons. Does it control speed? Yeah. But in this situation, over the last 2.5 years, the park has been used a lot more than it was even back then, with birthday parties, with Bryce Festival, We have 3 churches in the area. A lot of people are using the area now for exercise. And a lot of older people are using it just to walk to get exercise, you know, with their nurses or whatever that might be. There's one lady in our neighborhood that actually had her dog hit twice. And so I'm really requesting, along with a bunch of the other neighbors in our area, to put up a 4-way stop at the corners of I and 4th and J and 4th and I and 3rd and J and 3rd. I think it's really in the public safety situation now rather than just a matter of controlling speed. Obviously, people try to avoid a lot of the traffic on right out here by going up 4th and going up 3rd and avoiding the lights and everything else. So it does bring a lot more traffic into the area. And with the churches that, you know, you're aware of, you know, Sunday school, that kind of thing, all the kids running around, Halloween's coming up. One Crowley has events over there. The Art Festival, Art League has events over there. I just think it's really worthwhile for you all to put up a 4-way stop there.
Yes, and I echo those comments as well. I live right down 3rd Street. Mr. Hughes lives on 4th right behind me. I see it every morning and every evening. We also have greetings at Levy Park. The 2 churches that are the parishioners park alongside the street curb. And again, as Mr. Hughes said, the traffic that would normally go down onto 2nd Street, when those red lights at Eastern Avenue and Parkinson are illuminated red, they'll bypass taking the route and get on the 3rd or 4th Street, depending on the traffic that's backed up. And so it's not just local traffic that we get a lot of arterial route traffic that's being diverted just to avoid the signals. I'm sorry, Mayor?
No, you're okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make a recommendation after this discussion, is that I get Ms. Chantel to put it on the agenda for Wednesday's meeting to request a traffic study by the chief.
In fact, excuse me, I would offer that, you know, being with the reasonings you've given, most of the time when we do a traffic study, it's because of a speeding issue, something like that, but the issues you've given do not so present, I know speed isn't apt, but you're talking about different offenses being held in a local public park. I don't know that we really have to do a traffic study on that. I think the council can just move to change the ordinance and have a public hearing, you know, or whatever, to change the ordinance on that, to establish the 4-way stops.
Mayor, can I move that as an action item then to just go to the full council?
We can also take the recommendation at this point of the chief, and I'll get with Mr. Reagan tomorrow and see if we can maybe have something established to set a date by next Wednesday.
Thank you. Just to confirm, I spoke to several neighboring residents there, and they are in total agreement as well.
That is correct. And so we'll just take the recommendation of the chief as it is, as said right now.
Mr. Chair, you can use that as a nuisance ordinance as well. That way you-
I wish that was easy 2.5 years ago.
Things have changed.
One other thing to add to that park, by the way, I and also a few other people recommending putting in a handicap ramp, because the curbs are really difficult for anyone to get over, and it's really necessary.
We will address that in the public works. Thank you. And safe travels to Houston.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll try to get back on schedule. Mr. Chad Monso would like to address the committee about litter and possible alternatives for disposal of waste.
Good afternoon. I don't really need this thing very close to me, I guess. Good afternoon, council, mayor, citizens of Crowley. As you all know, my name is Chad Monso, for the record. I reside on East 3rd Street, half a block from that park they were talking about, those stop signs. Thank you all for allowing me to speak this evening. I tried to do this last month, and I tried to go through the council meeting, and the mayor would not allow that to happen. But a few months back, I was asked to volunteer on the litter committee, and of course I was happy to do so. That didn't work out very well, as it did not make it past the current administration before it was denied. But just as I have for many years now, did not let that stop me from trying to find a way to help control, or at minimum, help reduce the amount of litter that literally covers every neighborhood across our great city. I don't need to go into detail as to how different areas in our city look with trash, debris, trees and branches, building materials, etc., placed on the side of the road. Alderman Clint Crater posted a picture on Facebook of one of the many locations just a few weeks ago, with the caption in part that said, "Come on, Crowley, we can do better than this." I agree with Mr. Crater. We can do better. And that's why I'm offering a possible solution. Many people put tree trimmings, old televisions, old furniture, scrap building materials, etc., to the road at their homes. If these items are left there for more than a couple days, and in some cases a couple of hours, the motorized bicycle gang will come along with a makeshift trailer attached to their bicycle and sift through the items at the road. In that process, these individuals will scatter the trash, looking for items they feel are worth something to them. These people then load up their makeshift trailers with junk and haul it to the properties they are living at to clutter those neighborhoods. What they leave behind is often a huge mess. As a resident of Crowley, we all have the option to bring all these items to the Katy Parish landfill to properly discard them, free of charge. I do not have the answer as to why many people, would rather stack it on the side of the road than to bring it to the landfill, but it happens. Maybe it's because they do not have proper transportation to haul it to Egan. Maybe they don't have the time to make that trip. What I'm proposing will hopefully help our citizens with an option to discard their bulk waste and stop setting it out on the side of the road for the motorized bicycle gangs with makeshift trailers to sift through. The city of Crowley has at current 4 roll-off containers at the Public Works building. These containers are for use by the city of Crowley, supplied by the Katy Parish Police Jury for disposal of bulk waste. I would like to ask the mayor to offer citizens of Crowley the option to utilize the roll-off containers at the Public Works building to discard their bulk waste. Obviously, it would have to be during regular work hours of the employees at Public Works building, but I believe this will give some relief to the trash just laying along the side of our streets throughout the city of Crowley. Mayor, I would be happy to meet with you and whoever else you feel necessary to discuss and try to come up with a way to make this happen. You do not have to offer me a volunteer position for this, and I do not need any recognition. In closing, I want to thank you for allowing me to address this committee tonight. I hope this idea can make an impact on our litter and trash problem. I know it's not going to fix it all, and the problems with other litter issues will not be fixed with this option, but I only have so much time to speak, so we'll have to visit other options and issues in a later date.
Thank you,
all
Mr.
again.
Lawson. We're at the past 3-minute mark.
And it's 3 to 5, if I remember correct. Thank you, though. Thank you for letting me
Sure,
speak.
and again, this is, well, I should say, this is actually a Public Works,
It's litter, so it's in public safety.
well, it's in public safety as far as any violations, but what you're proposing would be to use the Public Works facility. And again, I don't even know if the committee can make a recommendation, this.
No, it's the mayor. The
this
mayor
would fall
has to
within the
allow it
mayor.
to happen.
You know, that, I would just recommend, since it's an administrative type function, we can't authorize the public to utilize the Public Works, but certainly the mayor, if he's got any, ideas on, or responses, that would be up to his prerogative.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Craven?
Yes, I would think, I'm sorry, I wish Mr. Mayor were still here, that he could maybe answer some of these questions of whether or not we could, the DEQ or EPA would have any opposition to us putting a dump out there. That would be something that he would probably need to look into before we go forward with any of
I
this.
did talk to the police jury, and they said, yeah, they either bring it to that dumpster, and the city calls us, hey, the dumpster's full, parish comes, picks it up, goes, dumps it, brings an empty one in its place. They said that would be fine. It's, you know, they either bring it to Egan or they bring it there. I just thought it would help. Some of our citizens may not be able to get to Egan, and instead of sitting on the side of the road, it would maybe, now, again, it would have to be through, during normal business hours and stuff, but it's just something to look into.
No, I appreciate the idea and the thought and the effort to take care of this litter that's accumulates throughout our city. Straight up.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe the mayor can let us know, is there any, Mayor, do you have any insight on the litter and blight committee? Are they starting back up? Do we have a chair? Because they could, you know, like I said before COVID, we were, you know, tackling these problems and really getting some good ideas. And we had some clubs that were going to adopt each park. We had all kind of ideas going, but I don't know if those members are still there, or some of the same members are still there. Okay. And we need a new president of that, and, you know, so I didn't know if you could let us know about that.
Sure, we can.
Thank you. All right, next we'll move to Mr. Christopher George, who would like to address the committee about criminal activity and statistics.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Mr. Chairman, I want to make a special request before I start, if I can have the maximum time, which is 5 minutes. I don't believe I'm going to go there, but I just want to make sure I get everything.
Mayor, 5 minutes is fine?
Three, 5
3 to 5? Okay, 5 is the max.
Thank you. First of all, I'm here, my name is Christopher George. I'm here to speak on statistics and the criminal activity in our city. I want to thank y'all for the shout out last week. Mr. Krager, that was awesome, you know, but I'm just here to give a breath of fresh air, and I can create an acronym for it. It's called AIR. A, accountability, I, integrity, or respect. That's what I'm here to bring our city, because I feel like we need it. And next, I thank you for the shout out, Mr. Crater, but I give all glory to God, because that's who's leading me, and that's who I'm just following. So I appreciate it, but all glory to God. And so I'm here about the statistics, and I have them right here. And I want to quote Mr. Martin. You said last month that truce is in effect because Steph Martin has stepped in as well. So I have 2 questions for you after I give you the statistics. I got the statistics, and the use of firearms, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. From 2018 to May of 2021 of this year, the use of firearms was 1,187 incidents. The homicides were 14, and the attempted homicides were 84. And I also have, I did my own research because I know many of the people in Crowley. So from the last 10 years or so, I just want to call their names. These are all people who were murdered. Henry Hunter, Brian LaFleur, Emil Beverly, Cornelius Kane, Jordan Andrews, Jeremy George, which is my brother, Michael Wynn, Reginald James, Jairus Wilson, Dalen Harmon, Taylor Beverly, Caleb Gibson, Lucius George, Earl Francis, Kenny Drake, Perry Davis III. And that is just the ones I know off the top of my head. And I guarantee that 85% of these incidents were only in Ward 3 on the west side of town. So I believe everything starts with leadership. And I know our 2 councilmen are here, and I believe it starts with leadership. Mr. Martin, you said that the truce was in effect because you stepped in and stepped up.
Well, let me clear that. Can I say
Mr. Chair, I'll allow him to.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll allow him to
go ahead.
answer.
No.
I'm sorry, but in reserving my time.
No, go ahead and finish. Go ahead and finish. I'll clarify what I meant by that. Go ahead and finish what you got to say.
Yeah, you said that, my 2 questions is, what took you so long, if you stepped in, and where have you been for the last 20 years? You don't have to answer them now.
No, I'll be glad to answer this.
Okay.
You ready for it?
I want to reserve his time. I don't want you to use your time while you get an answer. Or would you like to continue and finish?
I'll continue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, again, I believe everything starts with leadership. And Mr. Martin, you have not been the best of leadership in this. And I believe it is part of public safety because we are leaders in here. And I believe if we are leaders, if our city see that our own leaders do not follow rules and act a certain way, it will rub off on the people, the citizens in our community. So that's why I need to address this because I feel like it is a part of public safety. So, Mr. Morton, I'll talk about your behavior. You're disrespectful to the mayor, the council, and you're unwilling to work with your constituents, and your lack of leadership, and your unprofessionalism in these council meetings that I've been coming to for the past many months are very unprofessional, sir. And I just feel like you don't work with the community because it is a direct reflect of when I ride around in our ward, which is Ward 3. And I'm very unsatisfied. So with that being said, and all of the people that I've talked with, and I want to personally ask that you resign from being councilman of Ward 3, effective immediately. And I thank you for your time, though. I thank you for your time, you 20 plus years. I thank you for your time, but I just think that your time here has run its course. And I think we need more accountability and better leadership in our city and our ward, because when I ride, it just shows lack of leadership. And we need another breath of fresh air. Again, that's why I'm here to bring breath of fresh air, which is, again, accountability, integrity, and respect. Thank you. Oh, and I'm sorry. If anyone want to talk about the statistics at the end of, I'll be here. We can talk about it and just gather notes and anything. But that's my time. Thank you.
Okay, now,
Thank you.
Thank you.
now do I get a chance to,
You're part of this committee.
thank you. Well, first of all, for the last 20 plus years, I represented, and you just got here. You don't even know what's been going on in Crowley. But let me say this to you.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Mr. George, have a seat because.
Oh, okay, yeah.
His time's expired.
Okay. First of all, let me say this. When you know government, you know government. When things are not in the right track, you correct them. I've served on the LMA Executive Board, and let me tell you something, Steph Martin is known all over this state. Now, let me clear something with you. We are legislators. We're not the ones that rides around and pick up the trash. Only thing we can do is report it. It goes to the administration. Steph Martin does not ride around picking up trash. Steph Martin does not ride around making arrests. Only thing Steph Martin can do is report it. Okay? So I don't know if you have an understanding what a council person is, what a legislator is. Okay? Now, if you want to sit down and talk about it, and I can tell you right now, I get nothing but good reports from my constituents. I don't know who you're talking to, but hey, election is in a year and a half, you're welcome to run. Okay? And I really hope you do. Well, I mean, if you don't want to, if you're going to make accusations, you should be making accusations to make it better. If you think you can, okay? Because, okay.
Mr. Martin, again, I'm sorry, y'all. This is not what I'm here for, but again, the statistics show
but
that you
I have
never.
nothing to do with statistics. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I can only bring it up.
You said the reason why the truth is ineffective.
Because I spoke to a few people that I know have a lot to do with some of the damages that's been going on. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, I'm done.
Right. I just want to make that clear. The people that I spoke to, I asked them, what's going on? And they told me, they said, well, you know, this personal. And I asked them, hey, look, the firepower and all that needs to stop. And they assured me that they would because of the respect they have for me. Okay, whether they meant it or not, I don't know. But I done what I said I done. Now, getting back to the decision of being a legislator, okay? We don't get out there. Only thing we can do is report what's going on. We meet here once a month, well, twice a month, okay? You hear me arguing a point of different things. Well, you know what? When people step on your feet long enough, you get tired of it, okay? Now, I don't know who you've been talking to, but then again, that's your prerogative. But I can tell you right now, as far as, we have our own political action committee, and we do surveys twice a month now. And I can tell you right now, my rating is real high, okay? Well, like I said, I don't know who you're talking to, okay? But, I mean, but you got a right to say whatever you got to say, but I just want to make it clear to you. Only thing that this legislative body can do is report things. We don't get out there and we don't make arrests, we don't cut the grass, we don't fix the potholes. All we do is legislate, okay? Just want to make that clear to you. But I thank you for your information.
Thank you, Stella. Next we'll move to, Mr. Tracy Young, who would like to address the committee regarding the animal shelter.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank y'all for letting me talk. So I am here on behalf of Kelly Briscoe. She cannot make it. And my wife as well serves on as a volunteer at the animal shelter. There is a safety hazard at this point at the animal shelter. When you exit the main building to go up to the yard, some of the kennels are not secure enough to handle 80 and 90 pound pit bulls. And they having to store them out there. It was asked of the mayor to fix those, and that work has not been completed. And she wants to know when that work will be completed. Also, they took down a safety barrier fence. So when you walk out the back door, there was like a little small yard, just in case another dog got out. It was another barrier that they wouldn't get attacked, because at this point, if they would walk out with a dog, the two dogs fight, that volunteer gets hurt. That is a very, very much of a safety issue on that. Notice was, let me see, I'm sorry, I'm looking at a note, so I apologize. Email was sent out to put their 90-day notice on August 18th. So if these repairs are not made, they will, in fact, be pulling back and stepping back from taking care of the animal shelter. And that was August 18th, so September, October, November 18th will be the total deadline. However, these kennels that are outside are not secure, so we just wanted Kelly wants an answer. And I'm just here as a messenger at this point because it also affects my wife as a volunteer.
And the requests were made from whom with the city?
I'm sorry?
These requests, and the 90-day notice, who was that provided to with the city? Would that be
The
Mr.
mayor,
Young?
the mayor and Mr. Duyong.
Okay.
Is that correct, Mayor?
That is correct, and I did speak to Ms. Kelly since then more than once. And Mr. Cody is involved in it, and we have satisfied some of her requests, and we just not have completed it. That is correct. We are working on it.
And do you have a date of when those will be fixed?
No, I do not. I have the estimate, and I told Cody to proceed with it, and you could ask Cody, and he could probably.
Because even, sometimes they don't get far enough with that, so that's why we came to the top. So, but at the same point, they took down the safety fence, so I am.
Who is that?
Whoever did the repairs to the outside kennels.
Okay.
So I'm just saying right now, is if a volunteer walks out that door with another dog, and another dog is loose because those kennels were not fixed properly, pea gravel was put down, and they thank you greatly for it. It's really great. And some of the fences were fixed, but if even as a concerned citizen, I'm concerned the liability of the city at this point. You know, I mean, if they walk in, and I go there and help my wife with some of the dogs sometimes, and some of these dogs, other dogs are dog aggressive. And if they fight and a volunteer or whoever gets hurt, I mean, all the insurance in the world is not gonna save the city, especially now that you know about it. Yes, sir.
Where is it, the area where you're talking about, is it behind that back door?
Right, so you want, so if
It's
you
out on
want,
the south side?
yes, so you walk outside the back door,
Right,
and you got all the outside kennels.
Right.
And you got so some of the outside kennels are not secure enough to hold an 80 or 90 pound
Oh, I
pit
got
bull.
you.
And it doesn't take much to make an 80 or 90 pound pit bull. I mean, these are, and they are strong as an ox.
I got you.
And so and some of them will just push and just pound on that until they open it up and they just get out. And so, and that is just the concern of it. I mean, I talked to Miss Kelly, actually she sent me a text because I forgot my notes, but and she has no clue of when it's gonna happen. And and she just wants an answer of when. And you had actually promised a date of September 15th, I believe, that all that work would be done?
I don't think so. But anyway, the answer to your question as far as the chain link fence, the PO was already issued, and it's up to the company who we awarded the PO to of when they can get there. We've made an attempt to satisfy her needs, and me and you, Mr. Gore, have discussed this already. And we've even discussed as far as the agreement that was already established by our city attorney. So we probably need to sit down and address that as well again. And we are going above and beyond, I think, as the city of Crowley, and trying to assist Hacienda. We just got this estimate, and
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. What's the last word you said?
I said, we just got this estimate from Daly's. If everybody wants to know who it is, it's Daly's Fence Company. But we were given some assistance in order to be able to repair what we did back when, and we were informed that it wasn't good enough. And we spent almost $3,000 then to get the material to repair what was there.
Right.
So now we were asked to be able to assist in some of our needs, and we have. And now what's left is this fence, which we had Mr. Daly go by and look at it and say that it's probably not heavy enough, and offered us a price, gave us a quote, and we said, go ahead and do it. And we gave him Cody was gonna give him a PO. And Cody does have a PO, and it should be whenever Mr. Daly can get there. And I don't know that date, but I can sure find out tomorrow.
Okay, and just notify Kelly Briscoe on that, so.
And we have been, and I've already instructed Mr. Cody, our animal warden, to keep in communication with Ms. Kelly.
Okay, and I apologize, like I said, I am pure a messenger on this.
Yes.
And actually just a concerned husband of a volunteer, because or at very least, put back the barrier, because I mean, it is truly a,
I was unaware of that, but
yeah,
yes and no. Thank you.
okay, thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Young, appreciate all of you and Kelly, and I say you'll do for the city.
Real quick, and Buddha's here, I want to say something. We did an announcement to do, for dog food, and the Crowley Fire Department stepped up and donated 250 pounds of dog food. So I want to really give them applause. They've stepped up every time they've been asked to do something, and we got another project going to help with some vet bills, and actually Crowley Fire Department stepped up again. I appreciate it, and I do appreciate you letting them use the
That's what I was getting ready to ask.
the depot, and it's to help with vet bills. So
Yes, I was under the, I heard that Haci has wanted to use Wells Fargo for you and some other volunteers to be able to help raise money.
right, and the Crowley Fire Department has graciously agreed to cook, and so because I have no idea how to cook for that many people for that, but I do want to appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Martin?
The shelter in itself. Now, if one of the volunteers, Trace, you might want to hang on with this. Okay, he just brought up a valid point. If one of the volunteers gets attacked or what have you, who has the liability on that?
Haci is.
How would they have the liability when the shelter is owned by the city of Crowley?
Because the agreement was signed by Haci, I can get you a copy of that agreement.
But what I'm saying, Mayor, I mean, but even to the point,
And then if you're getting into a legality, Mr. Martin, I think I would think it would be wise if you would ask Mr. Reagan.
well, that's what I'm asking. I mean, I think that's something that we need to know. I mean, if a volunteer would get hurt over there, I would think that we would have some type of liability.
Ms. Kelly, if she were here, she could probably answer that question for you too, because she does it in rain, and she does it in a few other places as well.
Okay.
I have no clue with that. I just know that that safety barrier was taken down. So at that point, who's liable?
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you had a safety barrier that was taken down by someone with the city, that constitutes a liability right there.
I agree.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to find out. Thank you.
Thanks, Steph. Okay, next, we have, anyone like to address this Public Safety Committee?
Not on the agenda.
I just think he has to speak as a citizen. He doesn't have a presentation.
Okay. It's 3 to 5 minutes. All
Yeah,
right.
we have a 3-minute to 5-minute maximum, Mr. Nevitt. Please state your name.
William Bill Nevitt, I live on East Sixth Street, Crowley, Louisiana. I mean, what I've heard is there's a lack of enforcement for all these grass cutting and all that, so I don't see that taking place. I tried to call up Tony Duhon, or Duhon, he calls himself, and Tony Collins. Left several messages, none were returned. Mr. Mayor, I left you a message, that was not returned, that was over 2 weeks ago. So I have concern, I hear about the blight, this, that, and the other. So sitting in the back, all I hear is lack of enforcement, and that was my comment, my concern. So, and there seems to be some type of selective enforcement on these different issues. So if, I would wish that the enforcement office would be open, you know, and return, at least return phone calls. And that's all I'm asking as a citizen that live here. Mr. Duhon has been less than cooperative in returning those phone calls, and I've left more than one. That's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Nevitt.
Thank you, Mr. Nevitt. Any other items to come before the committee? Committee adjourns.
Thank you, Public Buildings, Mr. Wilbridge.
We got a form on the criminal justice center. We have a form under the criminal justice center. I guess all these questions or concerns gotta be answered by you, Mayor.
No, sir, it would be the chief, that's his building.
Well, we had an issue with, the building needing pressure washing. Number 2, a handicap accessible to the building.
It is accessible. It does reach the ADA requirements.
And the repairs of the historical market and apply for a grant for the same.
And you'll have to explain a little bit more about that.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Where did the chief leave, or?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Chief, we just have some questions about the building. We had, myself and Alderman Wilbridge had discussed the criminal justice building, and I know Chief has been getting some bids for pressure washing the building. And for some reason, it's not on the agenda, but we did add on there that probably half of the money for pressure washing the buildings should come out of his budget, and then half should come out of the general fund, because
No, ma'am, that's incorrect.
it's not,
That's incorrect. That would need to come out of his budget.
okay, because the court is here, and that's, you know.
That would be up to him and and Judge Melise.
Okay, so, and we're here, we use the building, you know, we're general
Well,
fund,
I understand that, but
you know.
that's what it's originally intended for. But it gets, I'm not gonna get into the legal part of it, but it gets into more detail than that. But the chief has a budget for his building.
Okay, but, okay, so we wanted to see what was going on with that, and if you had some bids going. And then the handicap came up because I've had several citizens complain to me that they can't get in or out on this location, this side. Now, they can over here, but they have to be let through the building, the police department, and that requires finding someone that has a key, and getting through there. So actually, we're not handicap accessible.
I think we are. If you go and measure that, I think we're ADA compliant.
But for someone to be able to, on the planning commission, there's a member with a walker, and she has to go down those steps. There's no handicap ramp right here on this
Well, I
location.
understand, but the building, at that time, whenever it was ADA compliant, the requirements were met, it was satisfied at that point.
Okay, well, we may have to revisit that and maybe don't know what we can do to see if we still comply, because,
I'm pretty sure you still do, because the fire marshal's here many, many times in a week.
but what do we say to the people who can't get through to the police department? I mean,
I
just,
don't know why they can't get to the police department, but it is ADA compliant.
but that door is locked, that's what I'm
I
talking about.
understand that, but you know, we have, our doors not locked. I'm not using our office as an example, but it's an administrative, he doesn't have a jail anymore, he doesn't have other things, and I know they may be holding prisoners, maybe, I'm not sure, but it's also an administrative building. Am I correct, Chief? It is also an administrative part of his department. And there is, in the front, where you come into the police department to get to this building, is ADA compliant.
Right.
And I don't know
I
what
don't know,
other solution.
there should be some solution that we can come up with, because we're kind of,
Maybe it might-
hamstringing some of our citizens that wanna come to our meetings.
Mr. Chair, I apologize. I didn't get permission to speak. I apologize to you. Maybe there might be a solution within the police department to allow people to come in and at certain times. Maybe we visit once, twice, 3 times a month, maybe. Maybe there could be, I'm just throwing that out there, but I'm just saying, we are, as far as his building is concerned, it is ADA compliant.
Are you talking about this building in itself? We talking about this building? This building is not ADA compliant. First of all, Chief, you have what we call an isolated segment of the building. Nobody walks in and out of that without having specific codes or what have you. And to say that the chief budget would be used to pressure wash the building, chief is not exclusive into the building. You have the court, you have who else? Glenn is here, the marshal. We're here. So how would it be now? I can understand him using this budget for the interior of the police department, but not the outsides of a building. I don't know where that even come from. Now the other situation here, the only egress and ingress to this building is steps. That is not ADA compliant. Okay? So I don't know where you got your statistics at. I deal with this on a daily basis. This building is not ADA compliant unless the chief opens up what we call a 24-hour through. And what I mean by through, you can walk through it, back and forth, whatever it takes. But you cannot go inside of his quarters without having permission. Okay? So I don't know, until we put a ramp in the front of this building that's wheelchair accessible, or either, it have to be wheelchair, just something where a person can walk into what we call a natural step of decline or incline. You're not ADA compliant. This building is not ADA compliant. You just hit it on the head. Every constituent should have a way to come into this meeting without having any difficulties, okay? The only way a person can get inside this meeting, someone has to physically be out there to either raise them up from a wheelchair or carry them inside. So no, this building is not ADA compliant. And even to the restroom that's in the front, that is not ADA compliant. Okay? So I'm having to tell you, man, I disagree with you 100% right there. And the other situation is for the chief using this budget to pressure wash his building. The city owns this building. It's not owned by the police department. It's owned by the city of Crowley. Okay? So, like the gentleman said, being respectful, but being truthful is there. So I just want to put that out there, that the chief is not the sole occupant of this building. So therefore, he should not have the sole obligation of pressure washing the building. And again, this building is not ADA compliant.
Okay, if I'm, someone else, I'm sorry. Okay.
And I agree with Ms. Stringfellow that I've gotten those complaints also from people, and I've actually helped elderly people down the stairs. It's not a problem getting into the building because you can go in by the dispatcher and she'll let you in. But if we had an emergency right now, we had to all get out of here real quick, a fire, whatever, there's no way to get through the doors and get back out that way. It's all locked, and there's no way to get out there. So whether or not it's ADA compliant or not, I think that's beyond the issue. I think we should make it accessible to the people that want to attend these meetings, city court, or anything else. We should make it accessible for those people and make it easier for them to get in and out of the building, and not only on a safety standpoint, but also on an accessibility and a way for them to come in and out without going through all of the rigmarole. But I know somebody that was trapped in here for a while, and they were complaining pretty bad because they were trapped and they couldn't get out. There was nobody to open the door, and she couldn't go down the stairs. Well, had that been a fire, or let's say a shooter, or whatever it is, and you have to hurry up and get out of here, there's no way to get out if you're handicapped. So, but it's something that needs to be looked into, and I think we should do that for our citizens. It's pretty simple.
Mr. Criticism.
I was just gonna mention, Mayor, we have an architect that's working on the Rice Festival building and the Central Fire Station renovations. If perhaps that architect could make a recommendation from his perspective and answer some of these questions and see what options may be available, in addition to whatever the fire marshal who visits the facility.
Mr. Cavell, you?
Well, I don't think anybody here is qualified to speak on what's ADA and what isn't ADA. Being a licensed contractor myself in commercial construction, I wouldn't even consider myself qualified to the point where I do feel that these are valid points, that you're still gonna have situations, there are certain grandfather clauses, buildings, because of historical areas, that are made. When this building probably was first designed to get compliant, it probably was. And all you have to do is change one lock, one passage through, and it changes the whole flow of traffic within that building. As far as people coming up here and not having access to get downstairs, if electricity went out, they'd be in the same situation. So it is unfortunate, but we do have to take care of others that are unfortunate, less fortunate than ourselves. I would recommend that we do give it to the fire marshal, get with the city engineer, potentially the architect as well, Mr. Critter, and do a feasibility study, not jump to conclusion, but at least get something to where we have a knowledge base from professionals who know what they're talking about and where we need to go from here. Thank you.
No, you had something to say, sir?
I'm okay. I'm not gonna argue the point.
I was just gonna say, as far as the pressure washing I have gotten, I contacted three, two of them did not want to attack a building this size, but Mr. Chris LaBosse at Church Point is willing. I think he said around $5,000. But that's pressure washing everything. The building, the eaves, the sidewalks, everything. So I'm still looking for another couple that are willing to tackle this size of a building.
You do, sir. Ms. Franklin?
Thank you, Chair. I have another name, so I'll give you another name. Can I ask about number 3, Chair? Chief, have you had anybody look at the repairs on that historical marker, or that was it hit, or I don't know?
Yes, it was an accident. It was an elderly driver who thought they were applying the brake, and unfortunately they applied the gas. Hit the historical marker. I have not at the present because I'm not quite sure. I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure who I'd go through for that, being the Historic Society with the historical marker, Mayor.
Well, if it was done on public property, there should have been.
I believe there was an incident report. I can't say positively, but I believe there was.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
So there should have been an incident report, and then once the incident report is done, it should have been notified to HR of Ms. Julie. And I don't know if Ms. Julie got that report or not. I don't know if you know that.
I don't know.
So the police department should have filed that report.
I'll double check on that though.
And give to Ms. Julie, so that way we can file it with our insurance company.
Was that called on the criminal justice system? the Enterprise Center, I guess discussing repairs and the cost on the Enterprise Center.
Yes, Mr. E. Halvin is still waiting on, we're keeping it patched and keeping those people dry, but he's still waiting on materials to be able to do the roof. And we have to do the roof first before we can continue with others. Materials are very difficult to get these days.
I understand that.
Yes, sir. But as soon as he gets the material, Mr. Chair, we're moving forward.
Do we got an idea of cost what it might be, sir?
Yes, I have displayed that, but I can have a copy for the council. But the roof materials itself, the roof and labor to be done is $165,000.
What's he doing?
Yes, sir, Mr. Martin.
Have, we discussed this a few months ago.
Yes, sir.
Have we looked into just getting another building and getting people out of that building for the simple reason, every day that they stay into that building, it's a hazard, okay? I mean, I'm hoping that nobody gets sick, but look, when that building was first remodeled, rehab, we were the first, I was with us since we first moved in there. And they in the same area that it was, Hurricane Lily tore off the roof, okay? I think it was Lily. Okay, I mean, listen, every time it rains, the water's going down the walls, moisture's inside that building. We had talked about, we got $165,000. That's a heck of a down payment on any building. Did we look into the building that we had talked about, the old Social Security building? Did anybody inquire about that building?
We can.
Well, I'm thinking, if we're gonna spend $165,000 on a building, that the next rain come or what have you, because you won't stop the moisture. It just ain't gonna happen. So why don't we, do our due diligence and try and find another building? Hopefully we can get a grant to match whatever the the overcost is. Who knows? It may be a situation where that person might want to do a little in-kind that owns the building. But I think we need to get them out of there.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to let you know that Ms. Jones is working very diligently in trying to recoup some money from FEMA as well, because that is just one portion of the Enterprise Center's cost. The roof is $165,000. With all of the buildings that we own, the city owns, with all of the high deductibles because of a named storm, we were only able to combine all of the buildings with the high deductible. We were only be able to recover from the insurance company $143,000. So the difference between that and the $165 is what we're gonna have to pay. So we are applying through FEMA with that damage, with the difference of that. Also, we are trying to apply with FEMA because there are other damages inside that have occurred. And that's gonna probably be in the tune of about $80,000. So, like Mr. Martin says, if you wanna add it all up, you're looking at about $250,000. That could be a real good down payment or whatever in that case, but again, keep in mind that we are still researching. We are still researching the legalities of the Enterprise Center, which years ago, and don't quote me because I'm not absolutely sure on this, but Mr. Reagan is checking for us, and it's a lot of research that has to be done. The Enterprise Center might have been funded federally, which you might be obligated for a certain period of time. Whenever the repairs were done, way back when. I'm not positive on that.
No, it wasn't federal. It wasn't
And then at this moment, we are currently applying for FEMA, and so when you have FEMA money involved, there are other obligations within laws that you have to follow. Another thing is that we're gonna come into combat with is that it is in the historical district. So there's a number of obstacles there before we can just jump up and say, let's go do that. However, Mr. Martin, I would almost have to tend to agree with you, but I'm just saying that we have all these obstacles that we have to encounter and jump the hurdles through all these. Okay, let me make it clear. I'm sorry, I didn't explain myself very well. We have to use the FEMA money to repair that building, because the FEMA also requires, for you, those of you who are familiar with FEMA, FEMA does require you to repair the building at what its state it was before the storm came, before the damages occurred. So, anyway, these are all hurdles that we have to try to cross, just to give everybody a little heads up.
Thank you, Chair. Well, the bottom line is that that building is very expensive and
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
losing money on it constantly. And we'll always have hurricanes. FEMA money doesn't come in, quickly. It's just, and I'm glad Mr. Reagan is looking into the possible, selling and possibly we can acquire a smaller, building because there's a lot of space that's wasted there. And now that the chamber is not in their office, Alderman Wilbridge and I went over there a couple of weeks ago, and there are humidifiers in there, and they're running constantly. And I didn't know what that expense is, and how long those are gonna be running, and if they're coming out.
They're gonna be coming out as soon as we can get that roof done.
Okay. So it's just to me, it's a money pit, and we just need to, look into other ways to accommodate those. I think we have 3 renters.
Expression well taken.
Yeah, so, okay, thank you.
Under action items, recommend a solution of mayor and board of aldermen for the city of Crowley authorizing the mayor to sign and submit corporate endeavor agreement between the state of Louisiana and the city of Crowley for the planning and construction work associated with the proposal, restructuring, and rehabilitation to the Rice Community Theater Project FPNC number 50 Mike 58-21-0001. And honestly, I don't even understand what this is, but it's been put on my agenda, so.
Chair, I would like to move that we table this item because we know nothing about it. And we don't know, were you aware that this was put on your agenda?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I move that we table this.
Yes. Mr. Chair.
I'll second that. Discussion?
Somebody need to explain what.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
In case if you don't know, this was sent in, I think, do you remember this one? Yes, it was sent in, okay. What it is that it's also money that Mr. John Stefanski is getting for us. It's I'm not gonna say it's a free grant, because there's really nothing ever free, but this is money that's proposed that we've been trying to get for quite some time for the Rice Theater, and we are able to get it. The only thing is that you have to do a cooperative endeavor agreement with this. That's what they're asking you to do. That's what Mater Engineer is asking you to do to be able to get this money. And it's the same cooperative endeavor agreement that we're going to be doing next Wednesday to get money for the Rice Festival building roof and for the Martin Luther King Center that Representative Stefanski has been working so hard to get for us. And that's what this is as well. It's a resolution for us to be able to move forward to get this money.
Councilwoman Strickland?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. To do what exactly repairs and also, to do what type of repairs to the Rice Theater,
The facade, the
The
total
facade.
facade in front, yes.
except for the marquee, because we
The
got that
marquee
done.
is already done through the insurance company and the damage.
So nothing on the inside, just the outside?
That is correct.
Okay.
This is just a action item to bring it to the regular committee meeting.
Yes, sir, you're gonna bring it to then you're gonna bring it to regular council. You have to vote on it. I know there's a motion to table it at the moment, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew what this was for, and this is free money.
Can I recommend that table call be taken out right now?
She can, yes, sir.
You don't have a second on it.
You
You
don't
can
want to take
remove
it?
the second.
Oh, she don't want to do it.
You can remove your
You can
second.
remove your second.
You seconded.
You can remove your second.
Whoever seconded, just rescind the second.
Please explain.
Vote on the table. We vote on the table.
So is this gonna cost us anything, or is this totally gonna be covered by the state?
Covered by the state.
Can I get some insight on it, if you don't mind?
Okay, I'm sorry, it's Mr.
I'm sorry,
Chair.
Jim, yes, okay, basically what this is, I'm in Baton Rouge a lot, as y'all know, okay, and do a lot of lobbying over there. Basically what this is, this money that he has, some people call it, pork or whatever, everybody wants to take care of their community, okay? The resolution that he's asking is, get permission to get the money, okay? One of the things that the money is appropriate is the money for the Martin Luther King's in the bathroom. Well, I mean, that's one of the issue, parts of money that he has. What exactly is this for?
It's the same.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chair, it is the same principle as always that it's been doing, that has been done in the past. Again, I'm gonna use an example of what we voted on earlier to be able to look at and get a resolution passed so that way Mayor Engineer can continue to apply the CEA for us to be able to get the money. In order for us to get this money, we have to have a CEA. That's the only way you're gonna get it. And if you don't wanna get free money, I don't know what else to tell you. And this is money that the Representative Stefanski has been working for. It's locked in. The only thing we have to do is come into cooperation with the CEA. It's a reimbursement. Anybody?
Okay, let me explain my table and why I don't want to rescind. Mayor, with all due respect, you need to explain what you want on Alderman Wildridge's committee. He had no idea that this was on his committee until he saw it on the agenda. So I will not rescind my table,
It was,
and we can vote on it.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to tell you that Mr. Mader Engineering sent this in, and we put it on public buildings. Mr. Mader requested it be put on this committee to try to make it in time to be able to get this passed to the CEA. And again, it's gonna be, this CEA is gonna be with the other two CEAs that we're gonna bring on the agenda Wednesday for the Rice Festival Building and for the Martin Luther King Center. Now, if you wanna table those two and not get free money, I just don't understand
Okay,
that.
it's not free money, it's taxpayer money, so stop saying that.
It's not costing you anything, Ms. Stringfellow.
It is, I'm a taxpayer.
It's, okay.
Okay, so basically what you're saying, Kim, you had no idea this was on your agenda? It just popped up? There was no clarity as far as what it was? Well, I mean, the motion to table would be in my view, something that we need to get more information about it. I understand the fact you use the term free money, you use the term taxpayers' money. Once again, ain't nothing in the state of Louisiana free. It's costing somebody. But at the end of the day, and I don't know if I'm on this committee or not, but I mean, I would think that there should be some type of clarity as why it's here now. Can we just table it and bring it up to the full council, give the chair at least a chance to sit down and talk and find out what is this, money designated for? All I'm hearing is that it's something for the Rice Festival building? I mean, the Rice, or is it Rice the 8th? Motion to chair is in order.
Okay, so this is just to send it to the full council. This is not approval or disapproval or anything. And maybe in the meantime, by the next meeting, on next Wednesday, we can have more clarification of what it's about. And then we can move forward. I agree 100%, this shouldn't have been sprung on you. You should have been made aware of it, but that's been done already. I think that the most prudent thing that we could do right now is to send it to the full council and get more clarification at that time or in between that time. We have a week to go. But I don't think we should just disregard free money. That's not gonna cost us anything. I think we've already been through this once with the Enterprise Center, and that was a very, very good thing.
something tabled, so it could go to get a vote to go to the regular committee next Wednesday, and we get better understanding of what's going on.
So you offered it as written?
Yes, sir. So I need to vote.
Yeah, we can call for a vote.
I need to call for a roll call. I need a second, but.
No, actually, she made a motion to table it, and she needs a second.
He rescinded.
And you rescinded your second. All right, so then now you're gonna offer a motion?
Offer motion to.
As read.
As read.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
Was offered by me, second by Councilman Freeman, that it goes to the next committee meeting on next night.
Discussion.
Discussion, any discussion?
Just, I would like to say that from here on out, Mayor, I mean,
Okay.
once again, I just want to get clear to the public, we are a legislative body, okay? We don't have an administrative side, but when you spring something on us like this, and I mean, it's without a doubt, it's something to the public. I don't know how the general public feels, but anytime you do something like that, to me, there's something hiding. That's just me, because there's no discussion on it, okay? We don't even know what's going on. So I'm just saying, Mayor, with all due respect, if we can, from here on out, especially all the chairs, they should have that information at least a day ahead, so that way, just like when Brad called me about what was going on with him, just to give everybody on the committee a chance to talk about it. That's all I'm saying. I mean, just, I know last minute things happen, but even to that point, I mean, there should be some type of indication of what's it about. That's all.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify something, is that we got it from Mr. Mater, I don't know exactly what day it was, but all this was sent out to all of the council members yesterday, 24 hours prior to this meeting. So you had an opportunity to call me, call anybody. I just wanted to make it clear, I understand this probably seems like it's last minute, but it wasn't meant to just spring it on you, and it was on there at least 24 hours before, but again, that's what I'm clarifying. So.
Mr. Cabell?
People, and I know Mr. Martin knows this as well, so we can play semantics with free money, taxpayer money, and the like, but it's a system which Louisiana has worked under for several years, many years. And it's also a means by which to grade your legislator that services you. Yeah. And I'm almost embarrassed right now, and hope that Representative Stefanski isn't watching, that we would even contemplate delaying or turning our nose up at something he's offered us, and it's important. I just can't believe this, so I just hope that the committee as well as the council sees fit to accept in these funds.
But how can you accept something if you don't know what's going on? And we got lives too. Just bring something on us less than 24 hours, and he don't call me to tell me what's going on.
Mr. Chairman.
So I don't care nothing about disrespecting Representative Sebastian like that. I think he disrespected me. Period.
Mr. Wilkins, you did give me the floor. We're looking straight in the face of a gift. Now, how it was presented is secondary to what the action today needs to take place. Okay? If you are something, if you are,
I called the question, we have
he has not recognized you. So I would think that we could at least give Representative Stefanski the right to honor him by accepting his hard work and what he plans to give back to this community.
I call the question.
Second, I just,
David,
Jeff, I think you missed the point. Mayor, when did you get this information?
I'm not exactly sure.
Was it 4 days, 5 days ago?
I'm not sure, that's what I
Ms.
just
Jones, if I may, when did this information, when was it received in your office?
I think Monday.
Monday, okay, here we are on Wednesday. Okay, if you came in Monday, I think through transparency, the chair should have been called and say, look, we have something that we want to bring to the floor. Okay, call your members. That's the only thing we're saying. Look, I'm all for anything that's given to the city of Crowley. And I know John works his butt off to make sure that Crowley's taken care of. But the fact of the matter is, nobody knows what's what. If it's going for I thought it was the Rice Festival bill, now you tell me it's the Rice Theater. See, that's what I'm saying, it's not transparent enough where we can make a decision. Only thing I'm saying, if you got it Monday, okay, no later than Monday evening, the chair should have been called and said, look, we have this, and we need to have it presented. That way you can call this committee members once again, that way everybody knows what's what. That's all I'm saying. It's nothing against John, it's nothing against nobody, but the timing of it. That's all it's about.
I call the question.
Second?
Offered by Ms. Springfield, second by Mr. Bradford, and we will call the vote. We didn't stuck on this subject too long now. And I'm gonna say this, it's not disrespecting Representative Stefanski. And I understand what he's doing for this crowd, and I appreciate everything he's done for the parish and the city of Crowley. So it is what it is though. And I'll just talk to him man to man and say what I gotta say. There's no more person in here that I can't speak to one-on-one, and we all got different opinions, but life still goes on. We gotta do what's best for the city of Crowley. Period. I'm calling for a vote to get over there.
You have to, Mr. Woolridge? Mr. Woolridge?
We need to vote and call the question first.
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now you can go back to you as read.
Okay, so that's just been a discussion, and now we're voting on
Now we're voting on the motion to bring it to the full council meeting next Wednesday.
Who's on the committee?
Is Kim Lee and Bradford and Flint. It was offered by.
Offered by you, Mr. Woolridge. I know.
By you.
It was
By
offered,
Brad.
wait. It was offered by Mr. Woolridge and it was seconded by Clint. And then all in favor.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes got it, nays, you got the same right. One nay. Motion carries. On the discussion item, what are the plans for the old Cajun Bag building donated to the city of Crowley in 2016? And any positions in said donation to the city? I mean, and there's a picture. Yeah. What's the plans to the old Cajun Bag building donated to the city of Crowley in 2016? And for what I paid about, they had a tree farm. I mean, or we got anything that we want to do with this, or tear it down, or?
Same thing we've been trying to do is sell it. That's what this council has requested many times. Mr. Core, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Many times have this been discussed, and even Mr. Core recommended putting a for sale sign, and we have done that more than once. We had a buyer, I'm not gonna mention the name, a person of interest, and we gave them an appraisal, and they denied the appraisal. So it's still for sale.
Can I ask how much the appraisal was?
Yes, sir, it was right about $65,000 for the property and the building.
Yeah, but I just want to qualify that there's been no for sale sign on the building. On behalf of the city.
We went, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And to my knowledge, we have not put the building up publicly for sale with the for sale sign that I've seen on the building.
Yes, sir, Mr.
We did put it on the building, we put it on the yard. We went and got an inexpensive for sale sign with our phone number on it, and we put it out there.
And Jim, secondly, Mayor, we have a concerned citizen here that has talked about receiving citations for tall grass and lack of maintenance. And the condition of this property and the trees and so forth is no different than this individual that got a citation for some grass growing in his ditch. This is unacceptable. If we're gonna be issuing citations to our citizens, the city needs to step up and do a better job than what's here. And we'll just display the pictures. Thank you.
No any discussion items from those that come from public business?
Can we just tear the building down and I'm just asking a question, Mr. Chair. I mean, it's obvious that nobody wants to buy the building, maybe they might want to buy the property, I'm sorry. I mean, a piece of property is a piece of property. I mean, I wouldn't give no $65,000 for this building. But, I mean, if we tear the building down, maybe we might be able to recoup on the property as it is. Well, exactly, I mean, come on now, because, right, that's 100% right. If you look at this right here, this is not being upkept whatsoever. But is it, the city owns the building 100%, right? We own, that's what I'm saying. Okay, well, why don't we tear the building down and basically, sell the lot?
I like to build a car wash or laundromat there.
Or either that or build a canopy, one of these pavilions. We need one in the city of Crowley. I'm just saying. No, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Mayor, has, Mr. Reagan looked into the conditions of the donation of the building? Are there any conditions on the donation, do you know?
Not that I recall.
Okay, so no conditions that would prohibit us selling the building, and have we offered it to, there's,
That is correct. The answer to that question, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
the answer to that question is correct. Mr. Reagan did check into those conditions for us to be able to sell it. That's why we legally had to get an appraisal. And the appraisal company had a very difficult time because there's not many properties like that that's being appraised.
have we offered this particular property to, there's many businesses around the area, like maybe Supreme or
Well,
whatever.
again, we have to do it legally through the system, and Brad's familiar with it. We had to do that, we had to get the appraisal because there was a person of interest. We had to get an appraisal, and then we would have to put it up for bid. And that's just a process.
And I
that
don't
we have to
know, like,
follow.
if we can maybe look into the cost of tearing the building down and then getting another appraisal of just an empty lot. Because I took these pictures just the other day, and it's horrible looking, and there's no sign in front of it. Probably, we don't want a sign in front of it, but if we could look into possibly the cost of tearing it down and then selling the lot, I think would be more feasible, but I'm open to suggestions. Thank you, Jacob.
Ms. Stone?
Maybe the fire department could do a controlled burn.
Can I be recognized for a few minutes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, can we have a decision by council on that particular property? Because it is extremely embarrassing to approach citizens about their property when the city owns that property. It's blighted. I don't think you're gonna sell it to anyone, but I'm just asking for a decision, for sale or knock it down, so we can respond to the public when they refer to that as being city property.
Are you asking me to make a decision right now?
No, by Wednesday, by council. Just let us know if you're gonna sell it or possibly knock it down.
That is very possible,
Okay,
to have that decision by Wednesday.
yes, just so we can know. Thank you.
Public business recess.
Thank you. Next is insurance and personnel, Ms. Stringfellow.
Thank you, Mayor. The Insurance and Personnel Committee will convene, and we do have a quorum. And under discussion items, I have requested that the department head of code enforcement or a representative be present at committee meetings. And I think we all understand why. We have a lot of questions. Just this last issue we discussed is a code enforcement issue. And I spoke with the mayor today, and I just offered that at least, in the very least, that Tony Collins could possibly come once a quarter. I don't know what everyone else thought, if anyone wanted to discuss that, or but I think it is very important that we have someone from code enforcement. That's the majority of our meetings, is regarding code enforcement and, blighted houses. You know, there's so many, areas that fall under his department, the animal shelter. You know, we had a concerned citizen here speaking about the animal shelter, and we can't ask any questions of that department because no one's here representing that department. So, we're gonna, I want to continue my talks with the mayor and, both Tonys regarding that, and if anybody has anything on that. Mr. Martin?
Well, I just had a constituent blame me for everything, but it is what it is. I mean, when you take the job, it falls on your shoulders. I just reiterated earlier that we are a legislative body. Everything falls through administrative, okay? I've talked many a times about the tall grass, many times about the buildings that needs to be torn down. The only person that can answer this is never here. He gives reports with no factual backing, okay? So when somebody tell me you gave them a citation, it means they done something wrong, okay? And now you're telling me, well, he gave a citation, but the citation has no validity because there's no enforcement of it. Well, what type of citation is that? Okay, right now, in myself and Byron's district, I counted 43 lots, okay, when he said he gave 11 or whatever it was, that I know they need to have some type of fines or whatever. And when you try and call, in fact, like I said, I was in the lobby, watching them in there, would not pick up the phone, okay? Bottom line here is very simple. Now, when you elected to a position, you carry the weight, and I have no problem with that, okay? And once again, Chief, you're the chief judiciary officer here, you carry, we do not make arrests. We can only say, Chief, this is going on, that's going on, okay? It's up to you. We cannot go and cut grass. We report what's what, and that's it. But like I said, I'm 100% in agreement with the gentleman for the simple fact nothing's being done. So the only person that's going to get it is the two elected officials. Okay, it falls on us. But we cannot make nobody do anything. But what we can do, we can hold them accountable, but that person is never here. And like you just said, Kim, he holds the problem that we have with the dog. Okay, he's over that. Okay, you had Mr. Young just say about how the dog is whatever, being aggressive. Well, I mean, if he was here, he would have a say to us what? You cannot have someone represent someone that does not have factual answers. And Mayor, with all due respect to you, I know, I mean, I'm not trying to push everything on you, but man, it's been, I want to say maybe, 15 meetings that we had, and he has not been here? So, once again, I'll carry the burden. The buck stopped with myself and Byron as well in our district, okay? We can't hide from that. But I just want to make it clear to all the general public, it is not us that does the day-to-day operations. The only thing we can do is report. And if nothing's done, we just keep reporting. And you heard me say 1,000 times, we had grass cutting and houses condemned from 2014. Y'all do remember that, correct? They even said themselves. And how many times I said you cannot do, you gotta flip it up, you gotta do bottom down.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I think I agree, and I know we all agree as well, and we continue those talks with the mayor, and I think maybe Mr. Dion feels attacked when he comes, but he should not feel attacked. We should all be respectful to every employee of the city, and I appreciate the job that they all do, and I know we all appreciate them. And so we'll move on to,
Kim.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cabell.
Thank you, Chair. I'm gonna put it pretty bluntly because I too am embarrassed a lot of times when, with these people endure. And Mr. Martin, you're right. We are the legislative body. We're not their supervisor, nor are we their authoritarian. Okay? I'm not sure where those calling for his appearance come from, knowing what Mr. Duhon has had to, go through. And every one of us knows exactly what I'm talking about. If I was him, I would have been gone a long time ago. Just like Albert, Gilbert, Tim, everybody comes up there. You're right, Ms. Stringfellow, we do owe them the respect, because we are just the legislative body, we're not their supervisor. So if we want to expect to get participation, we can only get the respect of what we're willing to show them. The saying goes, you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
But at least show, Jeff. I mean, show here. Maybe give the people a chance to ask questions.
He came, he made the show, and we basically, and I'm gonna put myself into it, but I know it ain't me that got on him. In the ways in which he would have just walked out.
He has that right.
Okay?
But as long as he's on payroll,
But
he
we
owes
don't
to the
have the
citizens.
right to bring it upon him like this board has at times.
Jeff, it's a job, buddy. You can't do the job. You leave it alone, you give it to someone else.
That's not
I
your
disagree.
place to say or do. You're not his supervisor.
Okay,
You
gentlemen,
are
you'll,
the legislative body. Thank
call
you.
to order. Not a place for us to just, argue with each other. And let's move on to number 3. We have, some officers who have been waiting, diligently, and I would like to come speak. Officer Gleason Doucette, and then Captain Withers possibly. She's not asleep. What's her name?
My name is Gleason Godfrey. I'm a corporal detective in Crowley Police Department. I've been employed for 3 years. I'm here to address the mayor's order to
Gleason what, I'm sorry?
Godfrey.
Oh, apologize, they have Gleason Doucette. That's what was said.
Okay. We stand to address the mayor's order that vacation time for employees of Crowley Police Department be rescinded due to a policy violation where no violation of policy took place. I've given everybody, or I've given Kim, I believe, a copy of the contents here. The emails here, I'll just summarize real fast. If you guys need to go through them, please go through them. And Chief, you are in some of these emails, so if I say anything incorrectly, please correct me. So Chief Broussard in March had notified us that the mayor had put an order that we were in violation of the city ordinance, stating that we were accumulating vacation time beyond a year. So with that said, it was pretty much put into place by Chief that we will no longer be allowed to accrue vacation time from there on. And we would have to use any vacation time that was accrued within the remainder of that year. A few days later, Chief sends a second email stating that the mayor ordered the removal of all vacation time that was accrued rather than allowing us to take that vacation time before the year had ended. So the reason for that citation is because of pages 10 through 14 outlines the mayor's position on this issue, stating that 1, we didn't have proper reason for the vacation time to be carried over, which nowhere within this memorandum is that even looked at, addressed, or appointed. One case of one officer out of 14 who filed grievance has been cited in that case for their actual reason for the accrued vacation time. And 2, proper documentation was not put forth for the accrual of that vacation time. I'll turn this attention to Crowley City Ordinance 12-7, even though that is not the rule in which our vacation time is administered. So 12-7 does, on subsection B, provide that annual vacation shall not be accumulated and shall be taken every year after earned. Also in section 1, vacation time and how it's allotted is drawn out. However, if you turn the page, you'll see Crowley City Police Department policy and procedure, where our department has outlined the regulations for which our vacation time is allotted and taken. If you turn the page, that's where we begin under annual leave.
What page is that on, please?
Page 8.
8, thank you.
All full-time employees of the classified service shall be entitled to 15 working days of annual leave, different from the city policy under 12-7. Annual leave shall be taken from the employee's anniversary date of each year. Annual leave shall not be carried over without authorization of the chief of police. So,
Mr. Chair, Do you have an extra copy of that, please? I wasn't given a copy.
I thought I
apologize.
put it up, put one up there for you. I did, Mayor.
Okay, my
Yes,
apologies.
okay.
My
I'm sorry.
apologies. Underneath some other stuff. Okay?
So according to Crowley Police Department policy, with authorization of the chief, vacation days may be carried over. You'll note, if you read through this policy, nowhere in here does it state that there has to be any particular reason, and nowhere within this policy, nowhere in this policy does it require it to be in writing. In fact, in an email sent by chief, and I will have chief confirm this for me today just to make sure that we are all clear, chief has given his word to the mayor that all vacation time that was accumulated was done so with his approval. Is that correct, chief?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we as employees of the city of Crowley, Crowley Police Department, followed departmental policy, got approval from our chief to accrue vacation time per our departmental policy, and we carried those days over for our individual reasons. At that point, we had done nothing to violate our department's policy. Yet, here we stand with vacation day strip rights.
I have a question.
The city attorney in his memorandum cites several Supreme Court cases for the state of Louisiana, none of which address the issue at bar here today. Yes, they outline that an accrual restriction is legal, but that's not our legal question here. Our legal question that we have is, can you take away vacation days that were earned and accrued within policy of the hiring department? And the answer is no. Civil service laws give the authority to regulate when vacation days are taken to the appointing authority, which in this case would be the chief of police. We're not under the city ordinance in terms of when our vacation days are taken. All of that information comes from civil service. In fact, it comes from Louisiana Revised Statute 33-2497, which is on page 20.
And you have the civil service, answer in the packet, or?
Yes, the Civil Service Board, this issue was brought to them, and it was determined that this was not the proper forum, the Civil Service Board, because it is a question to be asked between the city, the department, and the employees, which would fall under a court of law. So, with this being our second to last option to actually address this issue, our next course of action is, of course, going to be a class action lawsuit against the city of Crowley. Every person here will be named, and, yes, sir.
Wait, did you have something, Mr. Martin?
Yes, I mean, first of all, vacation time, if you leave today, you have to be paid for your vacation time. Okay? If y'all leave here today and you have 10 days on the books, you have to be paid for that. Vacation time is earned.
Yes.
Okay? It's not given, it's earned.
Yes.
Now, I know that y'all are governed by civil service, which is a total different animal. I'm not trying to say that I understand it, but I can tell you this right here. Nobody has the power to rescind your vacation days.
Well, we have that issue, Captain Melissa Withers. We have the issue with some officers who quit, and they were told, one specific officer was told to take so much of his vacation and the rest of it, he would be paid for it.
Correct.
When he got his check, he was not paid for it, and he was told no, that he should not have carried over however much vacation, which when he quit, he would have extended his notice to cover that vacation, but he was told he would be paid for it, and he wasn't.
That's not the way.
My issue that I have is I had 4 days that I carried over that I was planning on taking by April for an Easter trip with my family. When I got the notice, I was told I was negative 2 days. So when my vacation rolled over to restart, I gave up the 4 days plus an additional 2 days. So instead of having 16 days at least for the start, I was at 14 days. That's not fair. I've been working here since 2010. We've never had an issue with this. We've always followed the police department's policy and procedure for our vacation. Now all of a sudden we're being told, don't follow the police department policy and procedure? It's not fair.
If I may, one last point, please. If you look at page 21 and beyond, those are letters of grievance and responses to the memorandum of the city attorney that I've attached. These are not all of them because we've had to request the Secretary of Civil Service to provide all of them.
There's 14 officers who wrote grievances.
Yes. In addition,
14 officers that this affects? Okay.
It
Or the
affects
road,
more. There's
it
more.
affects more, but 14 road agreements.
Yes.
and while I'm not going to speak on any officer that's not here today, and that I'm not going to speak on anybody but myself, I will say that my reasoning for carrying over my days, I took my vacation time, it was allotted for my wedding. It was September 21st, 2020. That was my date for my wedding. Hurricane Laura hit. My wife is from Lake Charles. Every single bit of that wedding was from Lake Charles. So we had to postpone that wedding. Postpone that wedding to the only available date for the year, November 21st. My year ended November 11th. So noting that I would have to take all of these days before November 11th and then take another 2 weeks for my wedding and my honeymoon, I came to Chief and I notified him, Chief, if I do this, I'm leaving my shift shorthanded for a month and a half. Can I carry these days over so I'm not doing that? So, the city attorney draws this picture that we were just banking time for whatever reason we have before even coming to us and asking us the reason behind it. He says that because there's no documentation, we were banking these days. How do you, Mayor, hold that position? I don't understand.
Okay, Mr. Crater, you were next.
I think we're all sympathetic to your problem here, but I don't think anybody in this room even has the authority or the knowledge to make a decision on this. My thing is that this is a classic example of something that needs to go to the Attorney General and have an Attorney General's opinion on it and brought it back, because we can sit here and debate it all day and all night, but until we get a legal opinion on it, I think that's the route that we need to take, and that's what they're there for. I mean, that's exactly what the Attorney General is there for. So I don't know if the council could make that recommendation that we get an Attorney General's opinion or.
Well, I think for me, my issue is that I come to these meetings a lot, and every time it's always told, Chief, it's your budget. Chief, it's your department. You do what you want to do. But now we have the mayor stepping in and saying, no. I'm changing your policy. No one signed for anything different, a different policy than what we signed for with the police department. Chief is saying, follow this policy, and the mayor is saying, no, don't follow the policy. You know,
Punishing us for
It
following.
would have,
and the issue why we're bringing it here is because whenever we do file a lawsuit on this, you guys are gonna end up being named in it.
Right,
And the city is gonna pay because we're gonna get our vacation.
and it would
And
have
that's
been my,
exactly why I think an Attorney General's
Yeah.
opinion would settle this
Right.
once and for all, but for us to sit
Or
here.
it can be settled with the mayor just giving us our vacation
and it
back.
would have been nice to know that this was going on before now.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been wonderful to know, but Mayor, you were next.
With all of the decisions that were made, it was brought, I respect Mr. Craven's opinion, an Attorney General. However, all of this information was gathered, and Chief, you know as well as I do, Mr. Tom Reagan inspected every bit of the information that he gathered and was helpful in making the decision based on fairness.
But, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mayor, but Mr.
If I
Reagan
could-
works for
If
us.
I could, please, thank you.
But
You
go
allow me
ahead,
the floor. Thank
go
you.
ahead.
So Mr. Reagan, along with our payroll department, along with our policies and procedures, along with the chief's policies and procedures, and Mr. Reagan reviewed every single policy and procedure and what could have been done, should have been done, whatever it may be. And Mr. Reagan assisted in us making that final decision.
What could we, as the employees of Crowley Police Department have done, sir, aside from follow our policy?
I'm sorry?
What could we, as employees of Crowley Police Department, have done aside from follow our policy to the T?
That I can't answer because
Then why would you punish us?
I'm not punishing anybody. And maybe
That's
you might
6
wanna-
days I don't have at home with my wife.
You asked me to answer a
Okay,
question. I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, I think a few months ago, I asked if I could be involved in all those policies and procedures talks, remember? It's on tape.
Well,
I
this,
can show it to you.
I
But I asked and you said, sure, whenever I'm ready, we'll look at them. This is a prime example of, again, once again, why we need to be told things. We could have prevented this. This doesn't look well for you. We don't want this to happen. This could have been prevented.
Thank you for your time. like I said, this was our final olive branch, our last method of trying to work with you. But like I said, if a decision isn't made on this by tomorrow, by next council meeting, we're
Or
starting a
just
lawsuit.
give us till next
Thank you.
council meeting, you know.
Next Wednesday, we need
Yeah.
a decision. Thank you.
Thank y'all. And, Mr. Cavell?
Sometimes having to go through the legal proceeding is what you need to get. It may not be the easiest, most convenient means, but if you want an answer, not just for you, but for future, just having the mayor say, okay, you got it, isn't the answer you're looking for. Because eventually, the same conflict that you're showing here is gonna rear its ugly face again. Ms. Crater is right. We're not here or qualified to render a legal opinion to the board. So I understand you come in here, open forum, and going to speak directly to the mayor. I get that, okay? But to get exactly what you're saying you want, going through the legal means is probably the best choice, I'd say, for you to do.
We're trying to save this city and ourselves time and money. That's all
Sir,
we're doing.
sir,
If that's not the case,
let me just give you my experience. No one gets anywhere by threatening legal.
it's not a threat, sir. It's not a threat.
No, that's what you've
It's not
done.
a threat, we're asking for our vacation back. That's
I
what we're
know,
doing.
I realize that, I realize that,
We're
and
letting you guys know that.
I do hope whatever decision is made, you can live with, okay, I do. Whether
Are you
it's,
guys gonna be able to live with it? Because if we do sue, that's gonna fall on the
but that's
city.
my point.
And we're
It's
not
a
trying to
legal,
do
it's a
that.
legal question, you're gonna have to live with it regardless.
It's a policy question, whether or not we followed our policy.
And that's still
And
not
only,
an answer.
and
If we're
only a
supposed to
third
follow
party
each
legal
of our policies,
opinion is gonna be able to give you that.
Okay, let's move on. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate it. And Mr. Martin, and then we'll get Chief.
Listen. All right, you just made a statement that the mayor cannot give. Well, the mayor damn sure can't take it away either. Let's make it clear, okay? Now, He's not taking away. well, yes, he did. He took away something. Look, the chief is an elected official. He has his own budget, okay? He determines what vacation time and when they take it. That's solely on you, correct? Okay. Now, he promised his officers that they would go by the standalone policy that the police has, okay? Once again, vacation time is earned, okay? Now, they talking about detrimental alliance right here, where each one of us can be held accountable. I done went through it already, and I'm not planning on going through it again. Now, this gentleman talking about respecting the mayor. Come on, man, look, you just can't be making these policies without this governing board knowing about it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. The chief was next, Mayor. Go ahead, Chief.
I just wanted to bring out that, first off, there is a conflict in policy, because the city's policy is different than the police department's policy. I'm gonna freely admit, when I came into this office in 16, my predecessor had these same policies. Instead of reinventing the wheel, I implemented the same policies. So these policies have been there for many years. Okay, I don't mind admitting, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So yes, did I use his? Yes, I did. So these policies have been in effect for this many times, and it just became an issue lately. And not so much in the mayor's issue, but with Mr. Reagan's. So
Thank you, Chief. So you were aware that the policies changed when?
I was not aware, because I will be quite honest, I did not read the city of Crowley's policies. The Crowley Police Department had its own policies, and that's what I operated by.
So they did not tell you that your policy and procedures changed?
No,
Okay.
and my policies and procedures have not changed
It did
yet.
not change?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they changed as far as this, when this came up.
Mayor?
Chief, I have a question for you, and please correct me if I'm wrong. In the policies and procedures, whenever a person, and I think it goes for almost every city employee, is it correct or not correct that when a person wants to get permission to extend their vacation whenever their anniversary date comes up, that it has to be done in writing?
No,
No, it's not?
that does not say that in our policy.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cavell?
Thank you, Chair. If two differing policies. You took for granted what was written with your predecessor as being true until it's tested. And we come to that point. And so therefore, that's what I've been meaning, that's what I meant by, it has to go through the legal process in order to get the answer you need. It's not taking away or giving back or denying anybody. It's actually coming to a pinnacle and making the decision that needs to be made. So
And
both policies-
thank you, sir.
So both policies are in unison.
Thank you, Mr. Cavell. So one constant is our attorney who has been here since you have been here, Chief, and the previous chief, and the previous mayor, and the previous mayor. And one way to get it to go through arbitration without a cost to the city is to ask the Attorney General for their legal opinion. And I would think that we, as a council, would not want to go through another lawsuit. These are our heroes, you know. We were just, you know, applauding their efforts through COVID and crime, and, you know, they were our heroes 2 seconds ago, but now we're gonna fight them on their vacation days. But, so I think that we should ask Mr. Reagan or ask someone to get an Attorney General opinion on the matter.
This is cut and dry. It's a standalone policy.
Okay, Mary.
It's cut and dry. Give them their money, man. Just give them their time.
Thank you.
Come on, man.
However, the chief can request it, I can request it, through the Attorney General's office. I just don't know the time frame that we would be allowed on that response.
They gave us till Wednesday.
No, I'm talking about the Attorney
Well, I'm saying the
General.
officer just said they gave us till Wednesday.
Yeah, it would have been nice if we would have had a, you know, like a heads up, but we can, we can move on. And I'll make inquiries myself, so, okay, yeah. When we went to the LMA, last time, we did speak with some assistant AGs, and they said that we have to get, council approval to get an attorney general opinion. So I would move, and make a motion that we get the attorney general opinion, on this issue so that we can move forward with this.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that, and I can have that information for you probably tomorrow.
But we won't have all,
You
the six of us won't be together.
You as an elected official.
She has a motion on the floor right now.
Okay.
She has a motion on the
Okay,
floor right now.
thank you,
I'm gonna
Ms.
second
Martin.
that motion.
Okay.
Now you discuss it.
Go, yeah, I have a motion and.
I'm seconding.
And Mr. Martin seconded it. The motion is as a council, or as the body of, the council for Crowley, the city of Crowley, to get an opinion, an AG opinion regarding these two differing policies and procedures, and, an opinion on this issue. Okay, yeah, to send to full council.
And then first of all, it's not on the agenda, it's a discussion item at the moment. Then you can bring it up again at the next meeting with a resolution, if you so choose to. But I'm telling you, you are not required to be able to do that. You as an elected official can request an attorney general's opinion.
Okay.
But they will tell you in the response that they have no idea when they're gonna, it might take 3 months, it might take 4 months to get back to you. They're not gonna get back
Thank
to
you,
you.
Mayor. I'm gonna give Mr. Cord enlighten us a little bit.
Mayor, I in fact asked for an attorney general's opinion myself as an elected official, and the answer came back that as an elected official of the city of Crowley, that the council has to approve such requests for an attorney general's opinion.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll tell you
The
what.
legislative body, the legislative body,
Then
And that was
we'll
recent,
move
that
forward,
was
and
issued.
I'll definitely have that answer tomorrow.
the legislative body has the power. We are the legislative body, and you're 100% correct.
So we can do that tonight, though. We don't need to we don't need to have you look tomorrow. The six of us can't be together.
You got a motion on the
You can
floor.
do it Wednesday. You can do it next Wednesday if it is required, is my point.
Okay, but,
I can put it on the agenda for next Wednesday, because you gotta go to full council anyway. And I can put it on the agenda for next Wednesday if it is so said what Mr. Court is referring to.
Okay, okay, all right, thank you.
Point of
So-
order, Chair, you still have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, but you seconded it, and you're not on, or you are on the committee.
Yes, I
okay?
am.
Yeah, you are.
Yes,
So,
I am.
okay,
Call for the question.
so let's vote
That
on
way we
all
know
those
what's
in
gonna be
favor
on the
of the motion on the floor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay.
So the ayes have it, and it does pass to the full council.
Thank you.
So discussion item number 4, requesting information regarding change in civil service laws, if any, now that the city of Crowley population.
Point of order, please.
Yes, sir.
Point of order. Okay, first of all, you just can't involve yourself during a discussion item and vote on something because it wasn't an action item. So you're gonna need to amend, if that's what you wanna do, so do it, but then you need to amend the agenda to turn this item that you are making a motion for and amend the agenda.
Okay,
Motion to amend.
second.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Any nays?
Nay.
Okay, so that was moved.
Now call for the question.
Okay, discussion item number 4, requesting information regarding change.
Kim, wait.
Yes.
Now you call for your question.
Now you have to, you've already
Yeah.
voted on the agenda amendment.
Now go ahead, call
Now
the
you're
question.
gonna go ahead and make
Yeah, but
make a motion. You're gonna now make a motion
Yes,
for
to-
what you wanna do.
Right, yeah. Now you're legal. You're legal to make the motion that we bring it to the
You
full
amended,
council.
But the amendment died because we had one nay vote.
No, majority rule,
Oh,
there
wait,
ain't no
no,
such
you're
thing
right.
as that.
No,
You're
the
right.
amendment died because we
She
had
is
one
correct.
nay vote.
My apology.
There's nothing there to vote.
My apology. No more discussion, end of discussion. Go ahead, Ms. Stringfellow. Thank you.
Okay, item number 4, requesting information regarding change in civil service laws, if any, now that the city of Crowley population is below 12,000. And I guess we can just,
Ms. Chair, we
Yes,
have to
go
refer
ahead.
that to legal.
Yeah, that's what I was
We
gonna
have
say.
our workshop coming up and
what workshop?
and we'd have to refer this to legal.
Our special meeting, is that what you're talking about, for?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Anything else to come before insurance? Oh,
I just
I'm
wanna
sorry,
make-
I did, I skipped number 2.
Yeah, before you go, I just wanna
Yes.
make it clear. You voted nay to having them get clarity?
Mr. Cavell voted nay to amend the agenda to
For
allow
attorney,
us.
you just asked for attorney general opinion. Yes, you did. You just stated that it needs to be handled by, you just made the statement it need to be handled by legal. Okay? Okay. Now you just made the statement, and then you will turn around and vote.
Qualify my answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Jesus
Yes.
Christ, come on, man.
I did not ask for attorney's adjournment, that has to go through the legal means.
What, that's the legal means?
That is a legal means, I didn't say the legal means.
Okay, I'm.
Also, if you really wanna get an attorney general's opinion
Ms. Chair,
quicker,
Ms.
it's
Chair,
probably best to ask him
please
to
get
go through
order.
the mayor
No more
and
discussion.
or
Okay.
the chief.
No more discussion.
Okay, thank you,
End of
gentlemen.
discussion.
Thank you, gentlemen. I did miss, discussion item number 2, returning, regular business hours at City Hall on Fridays from 8 a.m. To 12 p.m. And then, that's what it is now, and then 8, if we can return it back from 8 to 4:30 p.m. I think we had, decreased the amount of hours that City Hall was open. Because of COVID possibly, Mayor, if, do you want to comment on that, or,
No, ma'am, I don't. I'll look into it.
okay. Are there anything else to come before the, insurance and personnel? We'll recess.
I can't believe this, man.
Thank you. Next is Community and Economic Development. Mr. Reggie is not here. Mr. Cavell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Community and Economic Development Committee will come into order. Chairman Reggie is out. All others are present. Under reports, I will read what Chairman Reggie had submitted to me to read. Crowley Main Street, along with the City Crowley Tourism Director Valerie Myers, reported that History Alive in downtown Crowley is sold out. Original dates are October 7th, 8th, and 9th, with 2 additional dates being added and also being sold out to private groups October 6th and the 21st. Crowley Main Street will be releasing grants obtained from First National Bank These grants will be for the facade improvements as well as approved exterior work and also approved signage. Jessica Richardson, who is doing the historic district surveying, met with the mayor, Crowley Main Street, and historic district boards to explain her work. She showed maps from which she is working and will make them available to the public. She is currently surveying for the addition of contributing properties to the historic districts and will be there through November. Just as a reminder, the city of Crowley and Main Street received $10,000 CLG grant used to survey the districts. Crowley Main Street will have a street decorating contest for Christmas with more information for November committee meeting. Crowley Tourism Director Valerie Myers reported that Crowley had 30 festival queens visiting from around the state on September 25th for the Rice Festival Queens Ball. She said they toured all of Crowley, City Hall, Rice Mills, and went to a farm where some of them saw their first combine. They later attended the Queens Ball at the Opera House later that night. Garden Club is working on getting the Blue Star marker next to Burger King taken down and restored. Once restored, asking the city to then reinstall it. The Chamber of Commerce, Katy Parish Chamber of Commerce will begin work on economic development strategic plan throughout Q4 of this year with anticipated completion early of 2022. Our Savior's Church purchased acreage along VFW Drive for new construction. Katy Parish Chamber and One Acadiana continued their work on the site certification on property along the Highway 90. The Chamber received a $10,000 grant for post-COVID recovery and technical assistance for small businesses. Rice Capital Parkway continues to receive a number of property requests. Under action items, Amy Thibodeau, President and CEO of Acadia Parish Chamber of Commerce, requests the city co-sponsor their 17th annual Gumbo Cook-Off to be held on Saturday, October 30th, 2021, and approve the use of the parking lot at the Enterprise Center for said event, and I so move. Second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Jamie Morrison, Crowley Main Street Director, requests the City of Crowley co-sponsor their fundraiser, A Taste of Crowley, on the evening of Thursday, November 11, 2021, at the Grand Opera House of the South, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. There are no other items to come before this committee. The committee then recess.
Thank you. Next, Revenue and Finance, please continue.
Revenue and Finance Committee convenes. All are present except Stephen Primo and Sammy Regging. Purpose of the meeting will be to consider. There is nothing on the agenda. The Revenue and Finance Committee then recess.
Thank you.